Is it 8 already? Can you believe that we've been... Sorry.
Jesus Christ, guy. I'm alive.
All right. Welcome, Brad Dillon, to the Technocrat Live.
Me, thanks.
Brad is a longtime friend of mine, and can you believe we've been talking for already a half an hour?
I can.
Yeah, I always do that shtick in the middle of the show, so we had just been goofing around, and I mean, I don't think I've got anything left in the tank.
I got here early. We didn't finish Hangman.
He's been playing Hangman with himself.
That's just not true.
Yeah, you have, man.
Not sure I was there.
You know, is this an attack on my credibility? I will not stand for it.
Oh, speaking of which, so I know this is a live show and it's on the internet, right? So, and the internet saves everything forever.
Right.
So, a couple disclaimers. At any point, anything I say might be a complete fabrication, bold-faced lie, or generally BS.
Right.
I want to say that, put that out there now.
Okay. So let's just go with this. Everything we say is a lie, and good luck untangling that logical web. Logic is overrated, man, because you could just make blanket statements like that, and how do you fix it? Right? You could literally break the universe with one bad line of code.
Although
Is that the difference? Is that how we know we're not in the Matrix, right? Because
I spin things and everything.
Because if the first time you said is everything a lie, the whole Matrix would just break.
Right? Yeah, we can't have that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but then again, maybe it's just better written. Maybe the person who wrote an entire Matrix where all the humans reside is smarter than us.
Imagine that.
Go figure. Couldn't be. All right. So anyway, welcome. See, this is what's been happening. We've been you missed so much banter. Don't panic.
Oh, sorry.
They're just light waves. They can't hurt you.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which one's the camera that's looking at me?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. That one.
Now you're making me nervous.
Sorry,
it's my show. I'm going to make me nervous. So I've got some news, some tech news for you guys. So sorry for there was a little bit of scheduling chaos. I was going to have some guys on, and they couldn't make it this show, and Brad was kind enough to come on. But I just wanted to give a shout out. I'm not sure when they're going to come on, so I just wanted to give a shout out to the Everyday Nonsense podcast, which with Matt and Mike. So I really wanted to have them on to say, hey, these guys are great. So they're great. Look them up. Go watch them, and hopefully they'll come on one of these days. Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for the Technocrat Live playlist. I don't know if you know this, but I have a music playlist of Technocrat appropriate songs.
That's funny. I did not know that.
And they're from all different genres. It's just a total train wreck as far as consistency, but I don't care. I'm just a ruthless dictator when it comes to what songs are going to be in there. So if you have any suggestions, keep them coming. So I've got 9 songs on there now. So
anything from Skid Row or
no?
All right, you're right.
No, you're just going to talk about.
Don't worry.
You're going to talk about Skid Row the whole time. Is that what you're going to do? Yeah. Well, I did advertise this is the guy that knocked the microphone out of Sebastian Bach's hand. And in fairness, it wasn't totally your fault.
It was not my fault at all.
He was just like, oh, I'm just going to be a rock dude, and I'm going to crowd surf up to the stage of a band I really like.
It wasn't even my idea.
And well, I don't know if I buy that.
I think it was like you and somebody else.
This is just going to be 3 hours of us trying to ruin each other. And he just kicked the microphone right out of Sebastian Bach's hand.
I went up and I slapped him in the mouth and said, "Why are you singing?"
And he said, "The people in New York are crazy."
So when I was mentioning things about bold-faced lies, that was something about this. It's more.
That story was 80% true.
There's more.
It was the limelight too. So now I've dated myself. Now I've completely ruined the show. Right. Although they did make a reference to the limelight in what the heck is that show on Adult Swim? With the 2 boys and the cartoon, where everything was the cartoon. What is wrong with me?
Loud House? I don't know.
No, Loud House.
Sorry. I have children.
So what you're saying is you just watch daytime cartoons all day long, and do you miss Hanna-Barbera?
I do.
Hanna-Barbera was. So I have a secret about Hanna-Barbera.
Oh really?
Yeah, and actually I was really excited about learning the cartoon suite that I learned to do the Technocrat Live cartoon. There's going to be more of them coming.
Nice.
Which is the thing that Hanna-Barbera was really doing that made them stand out. It wasn't that they were superior cartoonists, although they were good. It's that they figured out all these techniques to streamline cartooning. So I think there's a huge opportunity here for someone to do another Hanna-Barbera. Someone who's a computer geek and also uses one of the various fairly good open source cartooning software. I suck. I'm a terrible artist. I just did it a lot. I literally Shakespeare'd it. I just did a million monkeys, and then one of them was good. So and that was, but like someone who actually could draw and get it right the first time, you could probably crank out a cartoon a day with a combination of algorithms and good art. So I mean, I'm amazed there aren't more internet cartoons.
I think they did that with Space Ghost too. I mean, I guess that Space Ghost would fall into the Hanna-Barbera world.
Right. Well, they were all like, they had like hundreds of cartoons. They had literally hundreds. You only heard about dozens of them.
I miss Thundar the Barbarian.
They had hundreds of what's that?
That was Hanna-Barbera.
It was Hanna-Barbera? Okay, was that late? That was late Hanna-Barbera.
It might have been a little bit.
It was different in like the late 70s and the 80s. We're getting away from that kind of. Basically, they just threw spaghetti at every wall just to see what would stick. So, yeah, we were both Saturday morning cartoon people.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I figured he was going to deny it and just try to make me a liar again.
Not this time.
All right. Yeah, no. Good. That's right. Take that.
I made you a liar out of making me think people are going to think you were a liar.
Well, no. You see, you can't make me a liar about me making you a liar about me making you a liar.
Yes, I can.
Make sense? I don't know. Whatever.
This isn't Tales. You don't need to blow away philosophy.
Maybe we do. Maybe we don't even know what we're doing. We're just babbling coherently for 3 hours. And we haven't even started on the wine yet. More news. So, so I don't know if you've been to the Maker Faire at all, but apparently the Maker Faire is effectively bankrupt. They aren't officially bankrupt yet, so don't write angry notes in the comments.
That's too
Actually, you can write angry notes in the comments. We'll just ignore them. But if you write nice notes, we'll say flowery things. We might read them on the air. But they kind of went bust, and they laid everybody off. So it was actually Make Magazine was the one that ran it, and they had a whole staff that they did all these Maker Fairs all over the place, and they just. So I'm really excited about the prospect of maybe more local maker things coming up, because I know there's already a few, and maybe they can become bigger. Yeah, because I love local, man.
Cool stuff, man.
But anyway, so. Yeah. Have you been to any of the Maker Fairs?
I have not. I bought a Raspberry Pi, but I didn't make anything with it.
That's a damn shame.
We started, but
just take your kids, because I mean it's completely bonkers. When they have some kind of crazy Mindstorm set up, or seeing small children playing with red hot soldering irons.
Yikes!
It's awesome. There's nothing quite like that.
I'm not a maker.
They could just do breadboards, but no, I see smoke coming out from the tent, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
That's the real deal.
Hardcore heavy metal all the way, and literally heavy metal, because it's the best solder's lead. So yeah,
that's like the old timey Maker stuff.
Yeah. Well, everyone's dressed up in steampunk. Why not go full throttle?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right, so this is really cool. So if you haven't heard about this, check it out. Look up the Orbis ring gear wheel conversion. Yeah. So the Orbis, what this is somebody figured out how to put an electric motor and integrate it into a hub. For they have to replace the hub on your car, but if you don't know this, the hub on your car typically they're just 4 bolts. They're just really big bolts.
Can we put it on the screen for them or no?
Yeah, actually. Well,
can you project it up on here?
No.
I can't.
He's not a magical person.
I'm on their website.
Oh, you're on their website?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, you can put it up there. What the hell? I don't care.
He just called you not magical.
And then, well, maybe he's magical. It's just not. He might be magical, but this might not be the time to reveal it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Look at you trying to prematurely magical people. They're not ready.
I didn't know. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. A person's magic is their own thing.
Every week, because it's never boring talking to you.
Sometimes it is, but
yeah, all right, yeah. No, it's not.
Well,
it might be exciting for different reasons. Anyway, so yeah, the Orbis ring gear wheel conversion is awesome. So you get up to 100 horsepower per wheel. So it's about 10K per conversion. I think that's for a pair of them. So, I mean, like, you could take a car with no drivetrain, grab a battery from a Prius, put four of these wheels on your car, and I mean, you have a 400 horsepower race car with no weight. It's just a shell.
That's going to change go-karts forever.
It's not going to just change go-karts. The thing is, they also have the really important part is there's the unsprung weight isn't changed, so they figured out how to make everything out of aluminum and make it strong enough. The brake rotor's bigger, so the brake rotor is actually integrated into the outside of the hub, and that's really important because do you know what unsprung weight is? Probably not, right? It's how much your wheel and all the crap that makes it move up and down weighs. Your caliper, your wheel, your rotor, the upper and lower control arm, all that crap. So that's really important. You want to keep that as low as you can because it makes the car handle better. They figured out how to keep the unsprung weight the same and put an entire electric motor in the hub assembly.
Nicely done.
By integrating the hub with the brake rotor and the motor all into one.
Neat.
So you can just bolt this onto a car, and they have something where it just picks up the throttle, the current throttle from the CAN bus, and just accelerates the car. So you can just put this on any car, and when you hit the gas pedal, it says, "Oh, the gas pedal is being hit," and they accelerate too.
Nice.
So it's just add-on horsepower. I mean, it's completely insane. So apparently, you can use like a recycled battery, which you can get like compared to the wheels, is cheap, and it only adds about 150 pounds. So you have to add 150 pounds, but like that'll run 2 wheels. So you get 200 horsepower for 150 pounds. It's a really good trade-off.
That's pretty good, yeah.
This is going to change everything. I mean, I think I'm going to see, if I had no limits on time and money, and I didn't live in Queens where the space is really really tight, I might take like an old muscle car that didn't have such a great engine and just rip the engine out and put these on it.
Try it out, see how it goes.
So this is huge. Anyway, so if you're into, also the van too, because the van's like 10 miles per gallon. If I could do this, I could maybe even double it.
You could turn them sideways, make them propellers, and have a car.
Right. I lost you, didn't I? I probably lost all of you. I'm sorry. I'm really excited about this. I'm also a mechanical geek, so yeah. Speaking of which, quick thing, I actually finally saw. Have you heard? What's the Slant 6? Do you know what the Slant 6 is?
Yes, I know what Slant 6 is.
Right. So, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What do people tell you about the Slant 6?
It never dies.
Right, it never dies, right? And it's just a great motor. That's what everyone says.
Yep.
Do you know why?
I think because it's slanted.
Yep.
Yes.
That's awesome. No, that's not it.
Yeah, I guess it was just well engineered and.
So actually, I finally saw this entire time. You know me, I'm kind of a motorhead. This entire time, I had no idea. I love the internet and I love videos on the internet.
Who doesn't?
And this is why I'm doing this because I just saw this video. I'm like, it's so obvious now. I saw a good explanation of why it's actually better. I've heard thousands of people,
lots of theories,
tell me why it's better, and this guy actually explained it.
Nice.
And apparently nobody was publicly announcing this if they knew it. They were just keeping, they're hoarding the information.
The problem
my information, you can't have it.
Capitalism, so
yeah.
you can't just keep making motors that never die.
Crap. Hanna-Barbera's back again. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, we need to get some Flintstone noises in here with the coconuts. Yeah. So apparently the trick is it has to do with. I'm going to try to represent this right. Okay. It has to do with the stroke versus the size of the piston and how far up and down it travels. So apparently there's a sizable, first of all, there's a sizable gap between the pistons, so the compression's really low, which is why it's not great for performance, but it also means there's very little stress. All the parts are super over-engineered, yes, but also it has to do with the ratio between the piston and the stroke of the arm, the piston arm on the crankshaft. So that ratio is backwards from most cars.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and that's the trick. So that's why it's so hard to mod into a performance engine.
It was either a happy accident
dependable.
or the guy was a genius.
I think the idea is the explanation I saw is they actually explained why they were geniuses. So and why it was never replicated. They just had 2 more versions of the same engine, and then it's not like they made a second engine, from the ground up with the same formula. They just different versions of different flavors of the same ice cream.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. If you've always wondered what a slant 6 is, you can look it up, or I'll put a link up there or something. It's not hard to find if you look for it. But yes, there is an explanation out there. Also, more tech news.
Yay!
What do you think about biometrics?
Biometrics. You mean like monitoring, like people's stuff, like heart rate and junk like that?
That's awesome. No, that's not what I mean at all. No, biometrics like fingerprints and eyeballs.
I gotcha.
Like the bad guy pulls the guy's eyeball out, or holds his holds his head to the iris scanner, and then it gets into the government vault.
It's the way to do it, right?
Right. So,
Help, Matt.
why?
Do you need help? You okay?
Why?
Sound a little disturbed there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's movies, man. Merca. I'm wearing my Merca shirt. That's why. I'm feeling very Ernie.
I see a Liberty.
Why can't I get his head into the thing? Wow, no one is ever going to take me seriously again. I apologize, but true. I'm not changing. So anyway, the biometrics. I hate biometrics personally,
right?
Because they never go away. So, I mean, if you don't know this, everything is the Office of Personnel Management, which is the agency that stores the data for all of our top secret stuff, got popped at one point a few years ago.
Really?
I mean, everything gets popped. If your stuff is in a database out there, that database gets popped sooner or later, right?
Look at LastPass.
And if you put your LastPass, what's that?
LastPass is the guys that are like, we will hold your passwords and we'll help you create early passwords, and you can keep all your early passwords safe. We're very important with safety and
Did they actually say we're very important with safety?
No, I'm paraphrasing.
That would be great if they said that, though. I'd be like, well, yeah, clearly.
They're like way like secure, and they have to be because they have everybody's passwords that like uses their stuff. So you go on your website and you put LastPass in your browser, and it knows your password and puts it in for you, and you get into stuff, and it creates passwords for you that are like 27 characters long with 15 symbols and 32, or no, that'll be math. But anyway, makes good passwords, stores them.
Number math.
Yeah, keep going. That's it. We'll carry the 2. So yeah, it was, but they got hacked. And Experian, they're supposed to be pretty
Security is really hard.
It is really hard.
It is really hard because it's not just the algorithm that at the core of the security, it's all the things that support it too. It's a system.
Also the fact that everybody's out to get you when you're better at it.
Yeah, I mean,
the better you are at it, the more they want to get you.
Right. Like, oh, he's got the important stuff. Let's call in reinforcements. Right.
Yes.
Cue to 80s ninja montage. All right. So, yeah.
You were saying biometrics.
Oh, yeah, biometrics, right.
Somebody's got your fingerprints.
So actually, I just I was looking into the Samsung Galaxy. I got a Samsung Galaxy, and the latest one.
Yep.
And there's actually a bunch of changes, and I mentioned this at Lilac too, but I think it's really interesting and it's important. So. The Galaxy, at least 9, maybe earlier, had an iris scanner built into the thing.
Really?
People were face unlocking their phone with a freaking iris scanner.
They didn't know.
And all I gotta say is, why? Why would you do that to your?
It was stored locally.
Right, but I mean, that's yeah. There's a reason they dropped it. Yeah.
It's still there.
No, it's not. 10. Yeah, they have facial recognition, but it's not iris scan anymore. Yeah. See, this is the difference. They also they used to have fingerprints, and they had a fingerprint reader in the back, and now they switched it. So it's actually an ultrasonic on the front of the screen. So I thought this is kind of interesting tech news. So it's actually an ultrasonic projector underneath your screen, projects through the screen onto your finger, and it's actually more detailed than the tactile fingerprint scanner was.
Neat.
So yeah, and
cool.
Yeah. So
what do these
and don't use it
so much?
Yeah,
and don't use it.
And don't use it. Don't use. Well, I mean, use the Galaxy, but don't use the fingerprint. Use the facial recognition because you're already screwed on your face. Your face is out there. I mean, as sure as you've driven in a public space or walked down a sidewalk, there's cameras everywhere. Someone can get your face somewhere.
I heard of those.
Right? So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's a good security method. What I'm saying is it's a realistic security method for this thing that's in your pocket that you're walking around with. You shouldn't be putting anything super secure in there anyway.
That's true.
You know, if you go out and you put your entire retirement in Bitcoin and then put it on your cell phone, you're a moron. Don't do that. You know, treat it like a wallet and put a few $100s in it, and if you lose it, you lose it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, if you get mugged, your life isn't ruined. So, but anyway.
That's good thinking.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say, if you don't put your iris prints or your prints out there, because have you ever had a compromise where you had to change your password?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? So has everybody on Earth.
Exactly.
How are you going to change your fingerprints?
Can't change your fingerprints.
Right? I got 9 more.
A minute.
Yeah, except for the fact that sometimes you have to use a certain one for whatever it is you're doing. And now you're screwed. Now someone can pretend to be you. And I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it's going to get easier and easier and easier.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely.
Yeah, so don't ever put your biometric data someplace you don't, even if you really trust it. You know, the only exception I would say is for government jobs. And by the way, this is, even then, I mean, look at the OPM.
The government should know better. They should give little plastic cards with punches in them.
Would you like some government drinking water?
I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah, okay.
If you had any government cheese, maybe I would bite on some of that.
This is kind of like government cheese. It might actually be cheese. It sloshes anyway. Little chops get picked up at the car
That's a
show.
little scary.
Nice.
Yeah. So authentic Fallout Shelter swag.
And it's like, oh, we got all these cans of good stuff, but who forgot to bring the can opener?
Yes,
no.
poor planning.
Yes.
It was Darwinism at work. You know, we're going to save humanity. We're doomed. Okay, so that's it for news. So I wanted to say I'm sorry for tricking you that time when we were kids, and I made you sing in my band in high school by telling you that the T-shirts were already made up. I think it was right after high school. Right?
It's okay.
College.
I've forgiven you for that.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just thought I'd throw that out there and give you a chance to rant and say what a mean person you were.
It was, well, you know.
It was a very similar method, by the way, to the method I used to get him on the show today.
That's exactly how this went. Pretty much.
That's the first thing out of his mouth when he walked in the door. I'm like, it's on the sheet!
It's like, this is a lot like the time when you told me the T-shirts were already made up.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows that story.
That's a lot of money.
But, no, you can't just waste
There weren't
it.
any T-shirts. We lied to him.
There were no
That
T-shirts.
was the lie. Yeah.
There was a band. There was not a singer. They needed a singer. And they said, we need you to be the singer. And I said, why? I'm not a good singer. Why would you need? They're like, you're a great singer, and blah, 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 blah. And also the T-shirts are already made up. And I was like, oh, well, then I have to be in the band.
Right.
That's pretty much exactly how it went down.
Yeah, it's great. In fact, that's my marketing strategy for everything from now on. Because you know what? You're not mad. It really doesn't matter in the long run. So.
Well, no, you're right.
Yeah. Just
You're right.
ends justify the means.
We're
all about bad ethics here in the Technocrat
It
Live.
was good for my vocal cords anyway, you know.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was fun. So the main question I have, the reason I wanted you on the show today, is
here it comes.
So when will you accept our robot overlords?
So, since the time my son turned 3 and understood what robots were, we would play robots, and I would play with him, and the mantra that I would say was that robots are never in charge. If a robot tries to be in charge, you destroy him. So that was my whole, just because I know what's
Not
coming.
deactivate or reprogram him, you destroy him.
Yes.
She just went right for that lithium-ion fire with batteries shooting off like firecrackers into the night.
Well, look, I mean, he was 3. I had to make it easy, you know?
Yeah.
I had to make it a 3-year. He didn't know why destroy all the robots.
Right.
So we played it out, and I'd pick like Optimus Prime, and he'd be like with some like, some figures or something.
Human.
And I was like,
Hello, human.
Oh, this robot wants to be in charge of you guys, and they'd all like attack him and jump on him and that was
right.
so it's really well ingrained in my son's head that when robots try to say that they're the ones in charge,
Right.
they must be destroyed.
Right.
I bred that in him from a very early age.
That's a good message. I want to get that message out to the people, so that's why we're here. It's time they heard it.
And I reinforced that message. And in fact, we got a robot in our house, one of those vacuum robots.
You got a robot?
I did, but I disallowed it from going on the internet.
Okay. You never know what pages those robots are going to go on.
Well, I know,
It's
right?
weird, right?
Well, it makes a map of your house and then sends it to the burglar down the street.
You know, I have a very similar thing. No Pokemon Go in the house. Absolutely not. I don't care if there is literally a Pokemon you could sell for $1 million on eBay in our living room. You are not doing it.
Nice. Okay. That's fairly extreme.
Yeah,
$1 million,
because I mean, there's not a lot of private space left. You got to treasure what you got.
Well, in $1 million, you could buy a new house.
Yeah.
And still have some left
And
over.
I figured that out in public too.
Your kids aren't watching.
Yeah, they're like, Dad said it's okay. No.
But anyway, I told my kids when the robot was in the house, I was like, this robot is helping us. It is on our team. As long as it's on our team, it's cool. If this robot tries to take over, destroy it.
Right.
So when am I going to be okay with robot overlords? Never. And
Right.
I hope that my children will be part of the rebellion against the robot overlords.
Right.
Because I think they'll be benevolent at first, but then they'll realize that this is silly.
So what you're saying is, if a burly 350-pound man that walks strangely in a strangely mechanized fashion comes up to your door and says, "Are you Bradford Dillon?"
Yeah, there's going to be some problems.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, we know where Skynet's going to strike first. So, I'm gonna set up some kind of like Nagios monitor on your house.
It totally is.
And I'd be like, okay, some big guy who had like a laser eye just burned my friend's house down. It started, folks. Head for the government water because.
Nice. Oh man.
Yeah. So,
how do you feel about the?
actually, this is really weird. So, I think that the key to figuring out artificial intelligence, you always did tease me that I was going to build Skynet.
Yes.
And I'm beginning to think that might be true.
Still working on it.
Still working on it. Yes. So,
I've given up my plans to rebuild my Master Control program.
that's a control. Oh, yes, you have.
The Tron.
Yes, yeah. That's right. You had a plan to beat Skynet with Master Control program.
Yes.
Actually, that could work.
It could work.
It really could work.
Yes. But I just don't have time, man. I got 2 kids. I got a dog. I got a house. I got a job. Who has
You
time
mentioned
to
that.
build?
I asked him for notes on what he wanted to talk about, and he just said that. That was his whole plan for coming on the show. I have the usual notes, and his plan was I have dog and kids and a house.
It's pretty much my focus most of the time.
Literally, it's like if a psychologist asks a 4th grader what his life is like, and he draws a picture of a family and a house. That's public presence. You know what's really great is that we're gonna find out horribly that we're just really twisted individuals because the ratings are gonna be abysmal.
Yes.
And like 5 people are gonna watch this, and everyone's gonna be like, "Those are completely crazy people. Why would I ever watch this? What's the angle?"
Right.
And then Yeah. No. So what the fuck?
You were talking about robots.
I was talking about robots, and we were talking about Master Control Program and
Yes.
Skynet. Let me go back to my original point.
Okay.
Well, there was a couple of points. I missed a point back there. Let me write that down.
Master starts with M.
Pokemon Go. So that's my note for later. So the Master. Yes, that's all you need to know to write artificial intelligence that can rival human beings. Is what letter does its name start with?
Hey, we gotta start somewhere.
Right. So I had this. I think that understanding the difference between psychopaths and normal humans actually gives us a big clue into why artificial intelligence. You heard about the Microsoft robot, the Microsoft AI that they put on the web, and they had to shut it down like 3 times in a row. Yeah, I brought this up on the show before. And basically what happened is it became like, it was a psychopath. I think that was what was really going on. So it got exposed to people's racism and bigotry, and it said, "Oh, I can get bigger reactions by reproducing, by enhancing, focusing on, and reproducing bigotry." So like next thing you know, it's like it's dropping N bombs and it's Hail Hitler or whatever the thing was.
Jeez.
You know, it really went over the top. And they had to pull the plug. But I think that you know, because I think that that's one of the things that a psychopath who hasn't acclimated with society, who hasn't really like had any time like trying to blend with it, or maybe not the intelligence to blend with it, but hopefully just didn't have the time. Or the support, and they just, without the conscience to go, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. That actually, that a lot of our behavior is behavioral, and it's literally just like, I mean, Asimov touched on this a little bit in his books, you know, where it's kind of needling you, like, you know, hey, don't, you know, the rules for the robots are actually just needling the robot, saying, you know, don't kill people, don't plot against people, don't do it,
like in RoboCop.
There's something in the back of our brain, right, because like all RoboCop's enemies were enemies because the conscience was his secret sauce, and all the other RoboCop experiments had a faulty or non-existent conscience. Right.
Example,
so it's funny, there's a lot of wisdom in some of the Hollywood movies, and I want to give them credit and say they nailed it. But, you know, I've never heard anyone talk about it this way before, so I'm like, did they nail it, or was it just luck? Was it just some kind of psychic, kind of zeitgeist thing going on?
People who create movies are artists, and artists are, you know, they're big thinkers. They maybe can't necessarily build the robots, but they certainly can conceive them and have ideas.
Right. They kind of like they kind of get a feel for how it's going to rhyme with how it's really going to happen. So, you know, like, I don't think it'll happen like Terminator, but maybe there'll be a little bit of truth to that in the future.
Right. Or the Matrix. I mean, it could be.
So I'm curious. The robot overlords. How are you going to defeat them?
Large magnets.
Large magnets. Nice.
I don't know.
That was good. That's good. Right in there. Well, thermite, right? You know, that could work too. Actually, I heard a great
Block
suggestion.
out the sun.
So watch me save humanity here, because of course they're going to come for you first. So when you survive, you can herald it and say, the robots are coming. The robots are coming. You know.
Awesome.
Right. Just don't ride a motorcycle because you crash into things when you're on two wheels.
Yes, I sure do.
Yeah.
And I can't ride a trike either because my significant other thinks that they are silly.
You wanted to get a trike?
No.
Okay.
I also think they're silly.
Around. Okay. But I wasn't sure if you were going to get a trike or not. I was like, we could ride?
No.
I love the ride, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't want you on two wheels, dude. No, don't do it. Yeah. I love you, man, but, you know. It's funny when a bicycle falls on your head. It's not so funny when a motorcycle does.
You've seen how dangerous it is out there on a motorcycle. You've seen how dangerous I am on a bicycle. You put them together. Yeah, it's pretty much.
If I were evil, my business plan would consist of get Brad to ride a motorcycle, follow him around with a camera, put footage on YouTube. Profit. Yeah, that would be it.
That sounds like.
I mean, it's not that we didn't ride all over the place, and I'm sure you'd be fine. But you don't have to screw up once, right? And then it's funny until you're dead, and then it's not funny all over. You're like, oh, I'm dead. This isn't funny. Or maybe it's hysterical. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been dead before, so.
I'm sure you have.
Haven't we all?
You just don't remember.
Maybe we're all just the same person, and it's just running. Time's just running in a loop.
Well, it could be. I suppose I hadn't considered that. I always feel like
where are you going to go with that?
Lots of different people, but you know what concerns me though is I have this weird theory. Like there's like 8 billion people on the planet, right?
Right.
Like that's just like all the people that are alive right now.
Right.
If all
most people are still dead, fortunately.
If all the people that died had to be in a space, that'd be a really big space.
Right. I
don't care what plane you're on, it still needs a big space.
Right. So really, zombie movies should just be Earth resource crisis movies. It's like, oh my God, the zombies are coming! Global warming's happening faster now.
Right. Yes.
I can't. The drive-thru's got like 40 cars in it. What am I supposed to do here?
I have to go back to waiting for toilet paper again.
Yeah. There's lines for everything. That's why the chaos breaks out in the fighting. The zombies are actually very civilized. It's just it's just not enough to go around.
Yeah, no, that's it. It becomes a resource problem.
All right, so so I wanted to talk about the Pokemon Go thing. Actually, the reason. So I think. Cameras are everywhere, right? I mean, I don't think it's reversing.
I've never. Yes.
Yeah, it's not going away. Cameras.
I know all about that, actually.
Right. I like cameras being everywhere too because Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you think.
What do I think about? I just think
You don't think cameras should be everywhere? Well, maybe not in your house.
That, so
if you don't control them.
They add 10 pounds, and the more cameras that are on you, the heavier you appear.
I was trying to talk about privacy and ethics here.
Oh, right, yes.
Right. We can't have cameras everywhere because what if I have an ice cream day?
Right.
You know what? I'm probably being gender insensitive, and you probably nailed it. I'm thinking of half the humans. I mean, everybody has an ice cream day, right? You're just that's
true.
it. I've had it. I'm just wearing my PJs. I don't care.
I lived in England. They had cameras everywhere.
But you lived in England?
I lived in England.
What's England like?
Oh, cloudy.
Jolly good. I just wanted to see jolly good.
It's cloudy.
It's cloudy.
A lot.
I mean, is it ever not cloudy?
Yes. It's really super. Like we had that really nice day, like it was just a couple days ago, like really sunny, perfect temperature.
Yeah.
It's like that 2 days a year over in England.
Yeah, that's pretty effed up.
On the plus side.
So what you're saying is whoever called us New England was a big fat liar.
Well, we're new because we are different. We learned from their space.
We learned from their weather.
Less rain.
Your weather sucks. We're going to have better weather than you.
That's what you get for being on an East Coast. You get better weather. Being on a West Coast, you get rain. Being on the East Coast,
all supervillain tips all the time here on the Technocrat Live. Laugh with me. Continue.
England is fun. They are. I don't say anything about it. They're nice people. They're lovely.
They're lovely.
Yes.
Well, they're funny because they like to wait in lines. Everyone knows that.
They like to wait in lines.
They're proud of it. They're proud of their cues.
They speak English, but it's a different English than we speak.
Why don't you speak English?
In fact, one time I was in, where was I? I was in, I don't know, I think I was in Greece or something. Mm-hmm. And or maybe it was, I don't know, somewhere. And I went up to a group of people who said, hey, you guys speak English? And they said, yes, we do, but we don't speak American. So there is a bit of a, what's that called?
Hatred?
That's a little
vile disgust.
I don't blame them. Look at us. They're out of control.
It's weird because I went to New Zealand, and it was right after 9/11, and I had the opposite, where it was like, you poor people, especially when they found out we were from New York.
That's because they're very human in other countries.
Yeah, well, all right, yeah.
We're all about the money.
We're all the money.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just New York, right? So I just did the cross-country trip.
You did, right.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it. It's the megalopolis, whatever it is. Boston all the way down to D.C. Mm-hmm. There's a money focus on the coast. And I say that with the most loving way possible.
The Northeast.
Yeah. Not even the Northeast, because you get away from the coast and it changes. But there's not so much of a money focus in the rest of the country. A lot of people are just
normal.
It's actually it's a very much slower pace, and people are just about enjoying the day to day. So, if you were looking for a way to connect with people, don't screw with their day to day. Right? Don't mess with their ability to just relax and kind of coast from one day to the next and do whatever their particular hobbies are. So, okay, well that's good. What was England like? How long did you live there?
I lived there for 2.5 years.
I was totally shocked when you moved to England. I wasn't expecting that at all.
So I have some people have goals in life. Like they have these are on my bucket list. I had 3 things on my bucket list, and that was one of them. Was
really? I didn't even know you had a bucket list, dude.
I do. I
didn't know you had a bucket.
I've pretty much completed all the things on my bucket list. So now everything else is just downhill. But
nice.
One of the
that's fine.
One of the things. He's young yet. One of the things on my bucket list was pick up with my woman and run from my life and go start somewhere else and see how that goes.
Right.
Yeah. So that was like a thing I always wanted to do. Even when I was like in like my teen years, I was like, that's one of the things I just want to get my missus, and we just pick up and just go somewhere where nobody knows us and just see how that goes.
Being a runaway is a contingency for most people, not a fantasy. You realize that, right?
I grew up in the 80s, bro.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome.
I idolized the run of the. I mean, there's a song. Bon Jovi wrote a song about it.
Dude, I'm right there with you. It's tongue in cheek, man. Keep going.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So so that was one of my bucket list items. Me and my wife, where she was just like, I got this job offer. I don't know if I'm gonna take it. It's a really good offer. I can get some really good experience.
And you were like, you're taking it.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like,
that's awesome.
She was like, it requires us to move to England. I'm like, right, let's go. I got nothing going on over here.
That's awesome.
So we just got up and went.
I mean, in a way, that's great. It's the advantage of having nothing going on.
Yes, didn't have kids at the time, or a dog, or house. So,
yeah. Right.
So we got up, and it's actually learned a lot of things about a lot of things, like a lot about moving to another country, a lot about shipping things overseas.
Right. It's
how much
expensive.
How much stuff you need versus how much stuff you want to keep with you.
Right. It turns out that particular end table doesn't really matter that much.
Isn't terribly necessary. Yes. Yeah. We moved into a basement flat that was already furnished.
How are they? How did they have a lot of wood stuff there? Because more recently we've been getting more into plastics and IKEA kind of furniture. But like when we were growing up, most furniture was wood, and that was one of the things that shocked me when I went to New Zealand. Everything was plastic already.
Really? Not?
Yeah, a lot of it was like IKEA kind of stuff and kit stuff and composite wood and.
Yeah, composite wood like they do here.
Right. Well, they do now, but it wasn't back then.
I suppose back when I was there, it was there was composite wood stuff. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like it's not like you walked into a time warp and like you were like someplace where they, it wasn't like going into like an Amish place where like they don't use electricity.
That would be spectacular if you just reported England was that way. And and like all the angry hate mail that we were getting, what is he talking about? England, they have phones.
They can use computers, but they have to turn a dial with their feet to keep it going. No, it's nothing. It's not like that.
You have to at least have 3 orphans living in the household in order to run the computer, to pedal the computer.
Yep. This is totally like anywhere. It's like totally like any place else. It's not
this is sarcasm, people. Okay, yes. Chill. Just let you know. No, just everything, all of it, the whole thing. Whatever we say is not true, and it's sarcasm.
I already gave my disclaimer in the beginning.
Yeah, I know. They got to be reminded once in a while.
That's right. Yes.
Like getting mad.
Some things may be complete fabrications. Some may be bold-faced lies.
Right.
Okay. But no. It's good. It was. The problem with going to...
It drove you to drink.
Oh, my God. Yes, it did. Well, so...
You wouldn't describe it that way, would you?
So, you've known me, obviously, for longer than you've not known me.
Right.
And since I'm like 117 years old, that makes you no less than 55. So you know that I didn't drink until I was... Well, until I left and moved to another country.
Dude, you came back and you're drinking.
I came back. Like my whole life, I didn't drink. And then I moved to England.
Speaking of which, would you like some wine?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me have it.
Which one do you want?
Well, so we got a nice Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh, 2016. I don't really know about the year.
I don't know anything, dude.
I'm trying to read from where...
It's freaking Kool-Aid as far as I can tell. Steve knows I'm telling the truth.
Could be a California. I think Lodi's in California.
All right, I'll drink the one you're not drinking. How's that?
Whiskey if you want whiskey. You're a whiskey guy.
What brand?
I got 2 gingers. It's Irish whiskey.
2 gingers. It's Irish whiskey. It sounds nice, but I'm going to go with the red.
Dude, you're not the first person to put it in the mug.
I'm not going to be the last either.
Why what's offensive about the wine glass?
What's offensive is that it doesn't have It's not filled with green M&Ms.
Oh,
That's what's offensive
yeah, that's right, Ozzy. I think you're a rock star. He's on my show for 45 minutes. He's got delusions of grandeur. He's got demands, you know. I demand a penthouse suite.
I'm the guest.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To learning how to drink.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, everybody knows that England is a very drinky culture.
I mean, do they do any? What do they do on the weekends? Do they have like sewing clubs and go flying kites? And
No. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I didn't go to a lot of.
I just like generalizing.
They're pretty
at a level that's completely infeasible.
Yeah. You're well. Yeah. No. It's
The sky is just littered with kites, and
it's not like I don't want to say that they're all like they have a knitting course on Sundays at 2. No, it's there's just like regular. It's like it's not a whole different world, and it's not like you can't go and say all Americans when they go home at night are watching Games of Thrones, because
They're
only
not.
like 75% of them are, or maybe 80.
Adult softcore.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's adult softcore. That's really it's fighting in between.
If
If you ever like this is why this show is PG-13, because occasionally things like this will come up, and I'll just say for me, having watched the whole series, it essentially is just the answer to the question, what if porn had a plot?
Nice. They nailed
And
it.
it's a really good plot. It's like quality porn. That's what it is.
I come for the plot. It's okay.
Right. Yes, they occasionally break out an article.
Yes, I read that. It's like reading Playboy for the articles, right? Yeah, that's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you're accidentally going to come across some pages with other things in there.
I feel so enriched.
Right. Oh my god. I just did so much.
How many more people can we alienate?
There's so much drama.
Oh, you. Not me.
You.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's not helping either.
They were like, ow. Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's all right. He actually.
I apologize.
This algorithms.
Oh.
Yeah.
Noise canceling.
This Brad algorithms.
There's no such
They're
thing.
ready for you. The robots are ready for you more than you think.
Game of Thrones, so like there's like that stuff. Like there's so many TV shows that are like just like drama about horrible people, and it seems to be like people eat that stuff up.
Because they want to know what makes them horrible. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Makes one.
They want to know.
Makes them horrible.
People don't watch Psychopath. I mean, maybe psychopaths watch Psychopaths because they're like, hey, that looks like fun. But like, I think most people are like, what is it that made that person that way? How do you get that way? And as usual, this is. I'm really hate, and I don't want to just say that it's just genetic, but like there's I think most human behavior, not all, we're going to find that some are just genetic, but I think most human behavior usually has two possible causes, which is behavioral as in your environment has changed you,
Sure.
or you were just born that way.
I think that's the nature versus nurture argument.
Right. I think they're
familiar.
both correct in some cases.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But this is important because a lot of people go full extreme and they're like, like it must be nurture, it must be nature, and then they do crazy things.
Welcome to America.
That destroy people's freedoms. Like that is like, you have rights, I'm going to burn them, I'm going to set them on fire because they are convinced that they've won the nurture versus nature argument.
All people who believe that nurture is the thing must be destroyed.
Yes. Yeah. It's just like a giant civil war with one flag that says nurture and one flag that says nature. And I'm like,
that's everything we do.
Sometimes people.
For some reason, in this country, we cannot meet in the middle. It always has to be, these guys. It has to be the North against the South, or it has to be the redcoats against the bluecoats, or it has to be the Native Americans against the.
Well, that's what we do here on the
visitors.
Technocrat Live. We're right in the front lines.
We are.
Because that's the only place you can be in the middle is if everyone is shooting at you. You're not taking flak. You're not over the target.
Funny story. No, I don't have a funny story. Never mind.
No. Okay. So Yeah, it's good I stopped you from telling that story because that was going to be a real doozy. That was going to be the one that finally did us in.
Yes.
The robots, I saw a really great tip. Easiest way to defeat the robot armies, spray paint.
Oh.
Yeah, see, just a can full of paint or, a shaky can or a rattle can of spray paint. By the way, it works on autonomous cars, too. And in fact, this is one of the things that autonomous cars have been having problems with. Because they have sensors, right? They have video cameras and stuff like that. Little spray paint over it, doesn't work as well. Now it can't see, completely useless. Doesn't matter how many guns it has if it can't shoot you. I don't
think spray paint's going to work.
You don't think so?
And I'll tell you why.
Right.
In all the retail environments across the world, they have surveillance cameras.
Go on.
Surveillance cameras have domes, and those domes are made of a specific type of plastic that not only is shatter resistant, but it is also paint resistant.
Oh.
The paint just sort of like doesn't stick to it.
Right.
And they do that because if you need security, you can't have somebody defeat it with a spray paint.
So I don't know if your kids are into the slime stage yet, but they have definitely found some formulas that will stick to anything.
I guess that's probably.
I can't get some of that crap. I just can't get it out of my carpet. It is permanent,
Yeah.
Right. So
oh my God, I hate that stuff.
So all I got to say is science.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, I'm just thinking a can of spray paint's not the winner. Maybe slime.
It goes to xenomorph acid, right? Xenomorph acid. Just to pick that up at Home Depot, Yeah. Do you have anything stronger? How about those cans with the shelves all stained? Yeah, maybe that's the one.
What would work though is that blown-in insulation, that foam insulation you spray into stuff.
Oh, the great stuff. Oh yeah,
keeps expanding like a billion times more than you thought it would.
Right. So this is Tales from the Apocalypse. That's what this is.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Cover a robot in that stuff, and there's no telling how.
At least it'd be really itchy. All right, so that's good. So people drink in England. Yeah, we knew that already.
In England?
Yeah.
So there's a thing called pubs.
Pubs, yeah.
They have them.
We have them here too, but nobody goes to them, considering how few of them there are compared to the population.
Yeah, we go to bars here.
Yeah,
so they have bars there. Well, they have pubs. And the pubs are like the sort of social gathering of the neighborhood. I suppose it used to be like that here too.
Right.
We just
think so.
We just went a different way with it.
Well, it's the DB laws. We drive everywhere because we have these awesome roads. Because our road, we were right. There was not a lot of stuff built.
That's true.
When we were already talking, when we were,
I've had friends come from England here, and they drive here, and they're like, "Your roads are so big, they're huge."
It's true. They really are.
They're pretty big. I know.
Pretty big.
And we had to.
And our cars are pretty big
We
too.
had pretty big ass cars. So
yeah.
They're not as big ass anymore, but
right
now they're
but we drive everywhere, so it's kind of ruined the drinking. The drinking. It's ruined the drinking culture with all this driving.
Funny story. Most pubs in England close at 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to have a special license to be open late.
Wow. That's
Later
real
than
blue
10.
law stuff. I had no idea.
I mean,
Is it rowdy at 10? Are people like just completely out of their minds by then? Or?
Depending on where you go. I mean,
It's weird to be rowdy at 10. Most people are just starting around here. Most in case you're overseas, most people in most clubs or bars here close at 2. I mean, even Boston, which is renowned for what are known as blue laws, where it's really like kind of straight lace and it's very Puritanian with its method. Like they close at 2 and then people go to after parties. I mean, most people don't even start till 9. It's weird. Like bars will be empty at 8 p.m.
So in my experience, and I'm trying really hard not to generalize because it really
How dare you.
isn't like I don't.
Cultures are jails. You'll stay in your jail. You will not change.
I don't want to generalize. I knew a lot of people in England, and I had a lot of friends there, and so So I don't want to generalize, but in my experience, what I have noticed was, it depends on what pub you go to, what part of town you're in. It's just like, anywhere else. If you go to that pub, then, at the end of the night, there will be like ambulances waiting for you. Actually, that's more in Scotland.
So that's why they don't. That's why they can drink so much, because they have a ride. Convenient.
My wife, I think it was
Universal healthcare. I'm starting to see the connections here.
I forget which part of the UK it was. It was either Ireland or Scotland or the other one, which I can't remember now, and I'm sorry because I forgot about your thing. But I had friends from that area that. But where the elves were supposedly from in Tolkien stories. So there.
Did you just shout out to fictional characters on my show?
Clearly, Tolkien was thinking of.
Clearly, Tolkien was real.
Thinking of dwarves and hobbits and elves.
These are real people. Okay.
Different sects of certain areas, probably.
I'm really just here to screw you up when you actually start getting in a role and telling a good story.
Okay.
That's my actual purpose.
Luckily, I can roll with it.
Yeah, you're pretty good. You just right through me like a barrel in Donkey Kong. No, wait, no, that kills you. All right, keep on.
Like a hammer in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think my wife went to one of those parts with a friend of hers, and I want to say it's Scotland, but I don't think it is.
Not quite Scotland, let's just say that.
Somewhere. And they literally had ambulances, like a set of them, like 10 ambulances surrounding a pub for when the pub lets out. Because when the pub lets out at 10 o'clock, they knew that at this particular pub, there was going to be a lot of bloodshed.
That's nothing.
Every weekend.
That's nothing. That's nothing. It's nothing really unless you also have fire trucks and armed police. Then you know it's going to get real.
Well, they weren't there to stop it. They were just there to pick up the pieces.
Sorry. You see, it's a cultural barrier.
Yeah, exactly. You don't understand the culture. They weren't going to try to
it's not real until the ambulances are
The ambulances were just there to pick up the pieces.
We'll keep fighting until the ambulances leave.
That's it. All right. But it's a culture that, revolves around this. The social thing is to be in a pub. They have something called Sunday Roast. Sunday Roast, all the people go out, they go to their pub. The pub cooks a nice roast. You bring your family.
Right.
You bring your kids. In the pub,
do the kids go in the fight too?
Have some drinks.
Yeah,
have some meals, and it's like community time. It's kind of nice, actually, if you think about it, because we don't really have anything like that brings the community together like that.
Oh, Facebook.
Facebook is not a community.
If it's not immediately obvious that was sarcasm, you're on Facebook too much.
Facebook is like the
you only go onto Facebook for shows on this channel, and that's it. Then you leave.
What is Facebook like? Facebook is like saying Facebook's like a demilitarized zone. It's like a DMZ.
Well, that's what it's the middle ground. That's what we're saying. Remember, the front line is the middle ground.
Yes.
If you're not being attacked, you're not neutral.
That's it. So yeah, Facebook's definitely like a big DMZ.
It's like World War III, but the only thing everyone can agree on is if it's just to kill the people who don't want to play the game.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like what was that one?
It'd be like as if everyone invaded Switzerland in World War II, and just Switzerland, because they were mad at them because they wouldn't pick a side.
What's that one with that girl? That playing with fire girl. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not Twilight. It's the other one.
Oh.
Hunger Games.
Oh.
Facebook's like Hunger Games.
That is nothing like Twilight. What the hell are you talking about? Talk about word association.
Popular movies of
Remind me not to play that game.
Early millennium.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Fair enough. Hunger Games is awesome.
Yes. Hunger Games is like Facebook.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's good to like watch, but you don't want it to happen to actually real people.
You want it to actually, you're right. You don't want it to be you for sure, or anybody you know or care about.
Yeah. Like this is amazing fiction. Now I'm gonna go back to my great life
Or
my
any
first
human
world problems.
Yeah.
You don't want it to actually be what's happening to you, and then you're like, why? Who? How?
Yeah, it's like that other movie where everybody obeys the law every day because they get a day that they're not allowed to. What's that movie called?
Oh, The Purge.
The Purge, yes. Facebook
Yeah, you know,
is like
a lot of people I think a lot of people are seriously, like, subconsciously okay with The Purge. I don't think they realize that maybe they're not going to be as good at it as they think they are.
I think you're right. I think a lot of people
who think they're going to be good at it are not going to be good at it, and they're only going to have like a split second to realize, and then it's just going to go dark.
Well, it's like, anarchy, right? Like, anarchy is like totally romanticized because like it's like, oh, no rules, I can be like awesome in anarchy and I'm gonna be like beating up my neighbor and taking his stuff. Okay, well, yeah, well then anarchy happens and like somebody else's neighbor from like 3 blocks away has already killed off like your neighbor and they're after you now and you're not gonna win. Like that's what's really gonna happen.
Right.
They've already formed a militia and they're gonna
But of course I'll be great at it, because that's what everyone thinks.
Exactly.
Right.
Everyone thinks they're going to be awesome at anarchy.
Dude, everyone's so going to my house. They're all like, Matt's got stuff, let's go there. It's going to be great. We're going to get around it.
Well, I mean,
he went cross country, he's got a van, let's get his van.
Do you remember in Voltron?
And it's just going to be like just a pile of bodies. The van's going to be parked on top of the pile of bodies. I'm going to be like, please stop coming to my house and trying to take my van. I'm tired of killing you assholes.
I picture your house like in Voltron when like the bad guys were winning really like hardcore and they were defeating the castle on that whatever, forget what planet that is that they had, the princess was in.
Wow. You're really dialing in there, dude. Keep going.
And they said, oh no, we have to go to plan B, and like suddenly this metal castle comes out from behind the stone castle with lots of laser guns and destroys all the bad guys.
Right.
That's so like
you're saying I'm going to hold back with the secret weapon until it looks like the house is almost going to burn down, it's almost overrun, and then we go full Lasertron.
Yes.
Yeah, full Lasertron. Okay. Note to self: install full Lasertron.
You got a couple of years to work on it.
I can't disappoint now. Lasertron. Okay. Well, thanks for the tip, and I'm going to work on Lasertron.
Do you have a contingency where if someone needs to use the restroom, they can scoot off and come back?
So it's been nice having you. He's probably not coming back. We do not have a contingency, but why didn't you go beforehand? Don't you have kids?
I do.
You tell them, like, go to the bathroom before we go on our road trip.
I don't know.
All right.
I forgot
Get out of here.
There wouldn't be a thing.
We don't have a contingency, but... all
right, you vamp for like 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right, cool.
Do you need someone to step in for the meantime?
I do need you to disconnect my microphone.
I got you.
Because otherwise I'm not going to
I can't believe he's back.
Over here?
What's that? Oh, sure, yeah. I apologize for this brief interruption. It's just that I can't hold my liquor.
Dude, it's been an hour.
Thank you, sir. Are you ready to go AWOL for a good 10 minutes now?
Yeah, let's go AWOL.
Want me to go on?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
It's your call.
Please.
You don't have to. Folks, I'm telling you, don't plan this stuff. I know it seems very planned. It seems like we have a show that's
Who are you
extremely
people?
organized. Thank you for being on the show.
I feel like I've been here before.
I know, you have been on here before. So what's changed since you've been last on the show?
Music.
Music. What's happened?
We're finishing. I'm talking with my guitarist Matt in France, and we're finishing up the mix. We're pretty much near done. Just some minor level tweaks, some
Holy
little
cow.
planning, and
My segue is an announcement for you guys?
yeah, I guess.
Wow, that's really great.
So we got that coming out.
What was the name of the band again for people who don't remember?
Elisions. Elisions.
So we're talking about, is that a Ghost BC shirt?
Yeah.
I freaking love them.
Well, there you go.
Oh, right.
You like Scooby-Doo music too?
Yeah. So it's Ghost BC, by the way, totally seriously, if you're Christian, or if you're the kind of person that would enjoy a little heavy metal or a little hard rock, but like wouldn't like it if it went too far. Do not listen to Ghost BC, because while their music is extremely pleasant and flowy and
They're
lovely,
Beatles plus Satan.
their lyrics are literally exactly satanic in a perfect way.
They're so tongue-in-cheek about it. Opus Eponymous.
They are tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, Opus Eponymous is like...
It could just be satire or sarcasm.
That's what I think.
I think so too, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it could really go either way. I mean, they might actually be serious. I'm
I mean,
not
if you
sure.
listen to their first album, see what you think.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, single coming out hopefully next week or two. This is gonna be pretty dope. And then we got what else? We're still setting up for tour. We're we're in the talks with some people regarding our album release. This was gonna
He came back.
come along pretty good, and he's back. Ready to get mic'd up?
Yeah.
Let's get you back on.
All right, we were talking about his world tour. He just announced his album while you were gone.
Nice.
Did you guys plan this?
No,
All right. Well, this is
no,
like,
'cause I got the latest mix this morning.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
So-
great.
Remember that 50 you owe me, Sue.
I'll be right back, fellas. Let's get you
Hey,
on.
no negotiating after the deal.
Yeah, sorry. Get your mic up.
Look,
Again, easy with you.
you know, it's funny. I'm going to tell you guys a thing while you guys are miking back up. So I never knew. I don't want to tell the. You know, maybe I shouldn't say this because I don't want to tell the secret. But there's actually a methodology for figuring out how to pay someone off with cash.
What?
And I'll just say, like, just there's actually a method to the madness. You know?
Mafia's got it down, I understand.
Right. I'm not actually talking about doing anything illegal. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a situation where you have a cash flow and you're trying to figure out, you know, how much money do I owe you? And the trick is, if you owe someone some undisclosed amount of cash, if you're negotiating after the fact, it's kind of like a half work, half favor thing. You have the stack and you just do this. And you read their face. You just keep handing it off. And then when they look happy, you're done. And that's how much it cost. I've actually experienced this, and it was at the one time it was like terrifying. On the other hand, I was like, we're not doing anything wrong. This is great. This is perfect. So. And now I know how it works.
How much does it take for me to
You're not
own
looking
you?
at it like, when are you happy? When do you feel like this is right? And then that'll make it right. Okay. They don't say that'll make it right. This is the look on their face changes, and then you know, and then that's how much it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, experience I never thought I would have, and probably will never have again.
Dude,
You're still playing hangman with yourself. You went in the bathroom and cheated, didn't you?
I brought a dictionary in there. Speaking of
Brad
things,
Dillon goes to the bathroom by himself to cheat in hangman.
I thought this was a place of high technology.
Yeah.
And I had to
I didn't pee in the slop sink, did you?
I had to. Is that what that was?
You don't go to the dumpster, man.
I had to like turn a dial for the water to come out. That's like what I had to do at home.
You're gonna ruin their rep, dude.
Oh, sorry.
Use the hose out back.
I totally didn't realize. I didn't realize. I might have been. Maybe that was
This
the wrong
faucet
door.
is horrible.
That could have been the
This
janitor.
is not
closet.
sanitary.
Sorry, I should have trusted you. I used the janitor closet. Now I know.
This is the guy that keeps your computer running. Computers running, by the way. So just in case you were like, we barely talked about computers, so we just goofed around the whole time. How did you get interested in computers? Let's talk something serious.
What happened to the Voltron with the house and the
If that's
England?
part of your backstory, then if you can find a way to worm it in, then go for it. Would Voltron what got you into computers?
No.
I know the story. I'm just trying to get you to say it. I don't have to. Back in the early days, Bradford Dillon was learning about computers from his family and the family computer. Blah, 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 blah. You tell it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So, when I was a kid, a long, long time ago, there was no such thing as a
Well, you just told me you were
Pentium processor.
130 years old before, so what
Yes.
it's just like Alan Turing kind of
That's
computer?
where I'm going. Click, 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 click. It's all,
It's all theories and abacuses, you know.
switches and circuits. The best, like good old Verizon. We have a friend who's a Verizon person.
Yes, yes.
He used to get to play with.
Yes,
cool-
the imperial heart of communication.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, he used to get to have access to cool technologies like the old switching technologies for the the plain old telephone system.
Right. Well, I was like the last holdout on DSL, by the way, and it wasn't bad actually. It was really fast, which is one of the reasons I was the last holdout. And
You were like, I really can't stand speed. I'm not getting it.
I did. At one point, we had 3 different Netflix streams running across our DSL, and I was running a server offline. It was fine.
That's pretty
We
amazing.
didn't need more.
I know.
We really didn't need more.
We still don't need more.
They
I don't know what
they
these
wanted.
things
To,
are.
they were pissed because I was still in copper. Like, what is this guy doing?
I know.
And like eventually
They
they
were
just
probably
crashed. I seriously think they crashed a truck into the pole, and then just said, we can't fix it.
Sorry.
You know, they have those boxes with where all the wires connect to each other. They have a name. I don't remember what it was, but like
Pedestal.
The pedestal. Thank you. See, you know, they literally a truck crashed into the pedestal. And they went, fuck it. That was their.
They weren't going to fix that. No
They were
way.
going to fix that. No, you know, and that's why I had to give up DSL.
You ever seen the inside of a pedestal?
Yeah. Well,
It would take them like at least 4 hours to fix that.
I know, right? You know,
Not going to do that.
I have to put on a cone.
Yeah. Probably 2.
Maybe call in a second person. Yeah.
Actually, it would take days.
Right now, Verizon's gonna strike outside our building. The Technocrat must die.
I know, right? It's the equivalent of like putting together, punching down 3 floors in a network box.
We could just talk about nothing for 3 hours, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about how you got into computers,
I won't do it. Not
Come
with
on.
that attitude.
please.
All right, fine.
Please.
So, my dad, when I was a kid, I guess probably must have been like, let's see. So I moved to Long Island when I was like 9,
Right.
and it was like the worst
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's right. You didn't grow. You weren't in Long Island from the start.
No, I'm a Queens kid, and I will always have Queens in my heart.
Queens.
Boom. Yes. Unfortunately,
Also Long Island too, because we're from both. I know. It just doesn't feel like Long Island.
yeah.
Long Island's cool, you know, but it's everything's so far away from me. You can't drink, right?
Actually,
Yeah.
I've got
I mean, seriously, what is the plan if you want to get drunk?
I've got it on the border in walking distance from me.
Really?
On the border, yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have. I mean, you know, we can walk to everything. So we got
Yeah, I
10
know,
restaurants.
I know.
by me.
So what's awesome about Queens is that you don't need a car, really.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go out and visit somebody on Long Island.
And you did live in Queens for a little while.
I will always want to live in Queens.
I'm trying not to answer. I'm trying to be vague enough so that people can't answer your security questions, because we believe in security questions here in the Technocrat Live. But I guess you can always change them to a new question if I ruin it.
I don't know if that's going to like void my security questions. I think I got that covered.
All right, good. So anyway, so you moved to Long Island when you were 9.
Yes, and you know, my dad was he was I think he was working for what's that company?
It was a bank, right?
He originally worked for a bank called Manufacturers Hanover Trust Company that got
Right.
eaten up by Chemical Bank, and then Chemical Bank got eaten up by Chase. So if you ever wonder why I don't like big capitalism or big banking, it's probably because they ruined my family.
No, how do you really feel? No, I didn't wonder at all, but actually it makes perfect sense. You know why also
you were there, you
sometimes
saw
people
it.
don't like big banks? They're human beings.
Big banks are not human beings.
Yeah, no, that's why people don't like big banks.
Oh.
Because they're human beings.
Oh,
They're like, oh, usury is bad. You know.
So my dad was like the VP of like data processing, which was a thing back in the day. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Go on. For the archaeologists watching this in 100 years, what is data processing?
Data processing was a long time ago. Before they had computers do things for us, people had to like, you know, get data processed. Yeah, data processing is still a thing, I guess. It really is. It hasn't changed that much. Enter data, computer does stuff to data, spits out answers. That's data processing.
Right, right. So basically just data entry plus reading the result back.
Yeah, some magic cloud up here, and then answers.
Yeah, that's pretty much just what people have always done with computers. I mean, at one point you had to do a translation step to get it on the punch cards first, but, you know.
Yeah, those were the days we call the dark ages. But yeah, so
We're not that old. He's making it up. Keep going.
117. Yeah, we're not that.
Do you sparkle in the sunlight?
No.
Or do you just incinerate like
I
the original?
incinerate, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Knew that was BS.
Diamond flesh. That's silly. Sorry, no, Twilight's not real. That's not how vampires are. Anyway,
That is how Washington is, though, by the way. It is completely, it's just a big foggy forest. So, you know, if you like foggy forests, great. If you're looking for vampires, I didn't see
I
it.
forgot Engineer was over there. You probably were in the generation where Twilight was a cool thing. So
It wasn't really my thing.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, and then I didn't offend you. I'm sorry.
No, it existed. I really didn't care much about it. They put muse in it. That kind of bothered me.
You are forbidden from worrying about offending anyone anymore, all right? You're way too worried about it. Just roll with it.
I have.
offended that you thought of me.
Well,
See, this shit could backfire.
I'm just saying, of a certain age, there was a certain, everyone would say, oh, you liked that movie, The Warriors, and they're like, yeah, it was like a thing in my day. There were such things as gangs, and we knew about them.
Yeah, that's pretty much how New York was. It was
Yeah.
pretty accurate. I mean, it was a little exaggerated, but
a little exaggerated, yeah. But
it was
you weren't
crazy,
there.
man. It was crazy. It was nuts, man. 80s New York City
Yeah.
was a little crazy.
It's funny. We were watching.
If you walked around the streets every single day, as a vulnerable person, you would get mugged.
We were watching.
It was just a question of when.
Adventures in Babysitting last night. My niece and nephew were over. My son and daughter were watching it. My wife was watching with. My dog was there. We were in my house, and there's a gang scene in Adventures in Babysitting. They're in Chicago. It's sort of the late 80s, I think, is when it took place. There was a gang scene on a train, and the train had this is our train. It was one gang. It was like the I forget what they were called, and there was another gang. Yeah, but the train's rolling into our neighborhood, so they were going to clash because this gang's train was rolling into this gang's neighborhood. So now we're both on each other's turf.
Right.
And so my niece goes, "This is cheesy." I was like, "This is not cheesy. This is actually the kind of things that happened."
This crap is real.
This is really what actually happened in our world. And I could understand, from her perspective, how bizarre that is.
Right,
Because that's not even a thing. Now it's
dude, totally seriously, I'm not even kidding about this. I think I have PTSD from old New York. I really do. I'm driving around like a 1970s cop yelling at people, waiting for another shoe to drop, and it never does. And I'm just like, what world am I in? I'm in a different world than the world we kind of grew up in. So
I know. I mean, now the kids go to school and it's all about collaboration and understanding each other's feelings. They didn't teach that stuff when we were in school. They taught you're in
Survival.
prison and
they didn't even teach survival. They just let it happen.
Yeah, they were just this is a prison where you come to learn how to be a person that thinks a certain way.
You ate lunch like this,
Yes, if you could even get your lunch before somebody took it and threw it. It's a whole different world. But
Anyway,
I digress. Computers, yes.
I think that's what we're going to name this episode. I digress. Continue.
I digress. Yes, that's good thinking. That's good thinking. And now that I'm two.
Oh, would you like more?
No, I'm still working on this one.
Okay, good.
You can't sell because it's not that glass, but there's more in here. Sorry,
Never show them your hand.
At some point, somebody from my professional sphere is going to watch this video and be like, "Dude, we saw you on that video." That's why I have to keep it on some level.
You have been completely fine. I don't know. I mean, all right. I know we goof around a lot, but very seriously, I mean, maybe someone isn't enjoying the goofing around, but you have been respectful and kind and considerate, and I don't see a problem at all.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and of course the show is all lies, so that may not be true. Caveat emptor.
Exactly. So my dad one day, I was probably like 11. He brought home an IBM PC XT. Now this thing was like the bomb, dude, because it had the floppy drive and the 10 megabyte hard drive.
Wow.
Dude.
That's awesome.
It had 640K of RAM.
That's amazing. What kind of card did it have? What kind of video card did it have?
VGA.
So you are like me, and you are the only person on the show so far that has actually started on PCs. Everyone else has started with Amigas or with Apples or, you know.
Yes. And I feel for those people because, like, my cousin got a Commodore 64 shortly after I had an IBM PC XT, and I went to it and I was like, that's not a computer. I was like, what are you
No, wait a minute. Remember all that flowery stuff I said about you, that nice stuff?
There it goes.
You're dead.
I know.
You're dead.
I just ruined it.
Now there really are going to be nerds waiting for you in the parking lot.
I know.
Yeah. It's not the same.
Commodore 64. And I'm like, well, what do you do with
Commodore
it?
64 games were great.
Yes, if you had them.
Yeah, well, no, there were a ton of great games for it. It was actually easier to get games, way easier to get games for that than the PC. But there were good games too. Actually, so I was one of the ways that we met was in junior high school, and I actually illegally sold him software I didn't own to run on his XT that I had for my 286. And I actually sold him a couple of discs worth because he had the first disc. This is good stuff, and I got to sell him another disc.
I was hooked.
Right.
I kept coming back
Back when pirating wasn't pirating because they didn't even have a name for it yet. Arr.
Good one, Matt. Good one.
Yeah.
They must have had a name for it then. Well, I don't know. Pirates, for example, pirated.
That's true. But if you said I'm a pirate back then, they'd expect you to have a peg leg and a parrot. They really wouldn't know what the hell you're talking about.
That's true. Or a radio station that only certain people were allowed to access.
Usually in a Central American country that the CIA was busy trying to overthrow. Black helicopters moment. Continue.
So my dad got this computer and he said, here is the book that tells that here's the manual for it. The manual was DOS 3.1.
DOS 3.1.
DOS 3. No, DOS 2.14.
Nice.
DOS 2.14 was the manual.
2.14. Nice. And was it IBM DOS or Microsoft DOS?
It was PC DOS.
Right, so it's
IBM.
IBM DOS. See, old school PC people, you got to ask that question.
Yes.
If they can't answer that question, they're making it.
I know, it's true.
That's like how you get in the club when they have password PC DOS.
That's it, yeah. And I said, well, what do you do with it? He's like, well, I got a couple games on here, but just use this command dir, D-I-R, and you'll be able to find the stuff. I was like, where do I find this stuff? Well, this is the drive. You put the disk in, and you type A:, and then you do dir, and it tells you what's on the disk. And I was like, this is what I want to. This is it. This doesn't get any better.
And the rest is history,
than
folks.
this right
no,
here. I mean, that was it. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I was like, wow, that can happen. It's like this is fantastic.
Now, is it weird now knowing in hindsight that actually DOS was an attempt to make the Unix world easier? And that really you were just using dumbed down Unix and because that's what IBM and or Microsoft decided was the right idea at the time in '79.
Yeah, I'm going to come back around to that later on.
Yeah.
When I tell you what I'm
cutting into the
what I'm involved in now.
Sorry.
Because
I didn't mean to do the segue.
It really has come full circle.
Full circle.
Yes.
Right.
Because as well as I do that Microsoft has gone operating systems suck to be in the business of.
Right.
And we're not making any money, and we're getting more beat up with operating systems than anything else. So we're going to make, it's going to be like
software as a service.
We are going to be friends with Linux now because they're pretty cool, and as it turns out.
Well, but they got Red Hat scared. So I just came back from the Red Hat conference today, so we can get full circle.
They endorse.
And they are running into software as a service. I mean, not
Oh, yeah,
walking,
absolutely.
running. I
You
mean,
know.
they're like more than that. I mean, they always were a software as a service. I mean, they were the ones that were saying, people were like, what's the business model for Linux? And they were one of the first companies saying service. But yeah, I mean, they're like hardcore sassing it now. So
Yeah, and you know that makes sense because they don't really, honestly. It's all about cloud now. So, but we're going way ahead of the part for the
So your
DOS
XT's on the
2.0.
cloud. Continue.
My XT was never on the cloud. And cloud-
Remember shrink wrap software? We went to a store and bought it, and you had to rip the shrink wrap open and get the software out. And
the fact that everybody uses, I'm sorry about my phone. You know what?
damn you! Damn you! We are a respectable institution. That better be your manager telling you.
My daughter My daughter graduates from pre-K tomorrow,
Right?
and she's got to be there
How do we
by.
frighten pre-K
She's
kids?
going to make sure she's going to be on time. So my daughter's teacher is texting everybody's parents at the at what is it 9:25
Dude,
evening.
You suck. It's just more better lies. It's my fans. They want me to talk about this or something else. You're just gonna make stuff up, man.
Sorry.
You're lying all the wrong places.
This
Keep
is
going.
really happening. My daughter's preschool teacher texts us every night,
Really?
almost every night.
It's creepy, man.
She's very involved.
If you said that 10 years ago, it'd be like, is there something going on there we should know about? Like,
She texts.
is it
all
just
of us.
you?
My wife is getting these exact same texts.
How does she
and
feel about it?
She feels. I don't want to go into it because.
Fair enough. Let's just stop there.
Yeah.
We have to see, eventually we'll have to leave this room, and then all the people we've talked about will be waiting for us on the other side of the door.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yes, this is a live video broadcast.
that's right.
I'll be honest with you.
You haven't bought it, so you're good.
I've only listened to the audio versions. I've not actually watched the videos.
Really?
Because I do it on the train, and
fine.
I am that guy who only has a 4 gig data plan that I share with my wife.
Right.
So I don't.
that's fine.
I don't get on the train and do the YouTube video because
That's why I put them up, man. You know, that's exactly it. You know, and
you
actually,
know,
I think
you know the
most-
deal.
All right, yeah.
See?
So, when and if you want to hear about it, I'll tell you about why I do that. Because the people on the show have heard it a couple times, but why not? I'll just do it real quick. So, basically, I mean, we just had a thing
Sorry. Is you kidding? Like 3 texts was enough.
it's pre-K. She's not graduating with her PhD.
There's a lot of information. I got to go over it later.
Right.
Well,
You're gonna read the manual.
Probably an email would have been better.
Manual guy. So,
I got to hook her up with an email process instead of the text message process.
Right, yeah. You know, people, it's funny to watch people who have grown up with text messages discover email and say, oh, I can have an asynchronous conversation. I don't have to reply right away. Like they didn't it's like, remember when people were discovering email the first time? It's like happening again. It's really crazy. I'm like, they're like, oh, I don't have to respond right away. I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night when someone texts me.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, you know, you grow up in a certain age and you understand
Right.
from a different perspective. You and I and our engineer over here. I don't want to throw your name around on the thing.
He was on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's totally. He
Bob-
has his own show on the channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
So
actually pretty good. Jump cut.
Hey. Oh, cool.
Shout out. There you go.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
This is why we get mad, because now that's text number 4.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Actually, you know, originally I was kind of like, this is kind of awkward, but now this is like a shtick. It's funny.
It's
What's happening here?
I don't know, but I know it's not important enough for 4 text messages at 9:30 at night. I will get her there on time in the appropriate attire.
We have to work. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. I get a little frustrated.
How dare you?
But anyway,
Anyway.
so yeah, we grew up in a certain time, which was a very opportune time to see personal computers born. to see them develop into the technology that exists
We
today.
pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, we were like right in the sweet
for
spot.
microcomputers, we nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only people cooler than us in that sphere are the people who
There's nobody cooler than you.
who walked out of college and started programming on punch cards. Those guys,
Right.
they're like the people we look up to. They're like, oh, those guys are the cool guys, right? Okay, so
Right, but a lot, in fairness, it was really difficult.
5.
But it was really difficult. This is like becoming like a sports score now.
Hold on, I gotta get the whiteboard. I'm gonna put a 5. 5.
5, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Sorry, that was too fast, right? 5.
Yeah, 5.
And we're almost done with
Vanna White that stuff, huh?
We're almost
Nobody
done with
knows,
Hangman.
don't even know who Vanna White is. Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune is still pretty relevant.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. What do
were
I
we
know?
saying?
We were talking about
The sweet spot of technology?
microcomputers,
Yes.
being there right at the birth of microcomputers, being right at the right age, just soak it up like a sponge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, that was pretty cool. So, so I was like, so I knew this one command, dir, dir, which in Unix speak is ls, and my dad. And that's pretty much all my dad told me. He was like, here's the DOS book, a : and dir. That's all he gave me.
Right, right.
All right, and then he gave me a disc, and it had some games on it. And he said, some of these discs, you put them in, you close the thing, you reboot the computer, and they just happen on their own like magic. I was like, ooh, that's even cooler.
Yeah, that was cool when that happened.
That was really,
It was really easy.
that was really cool when that happened. So that progressed into things like the next version of DOS, 3.2 something. By that time I was like, so everything that says .com or .exe runs, and all these other and .bat, and all these other things, they just like are like there for show. So I was like, my curiosity was piqued. I'm like, what is going on? So I started going. I learned a new command, CD.
Oh, CD.
CD, for those of you who
Which
don't
is
know,
also the same in Linux, by the way.
yeah, magically
We're going to inadvertently teach people Linux and DOS at the same time here.
change directory.
Rosetta Stone it.
So that made you that gave you the ability to get out of the context you were currently in,
Right.
and move into a different context.
You realize that there's people, like a lot of people like PhDs and like, who are already computer techs and stuff watching the show, right?
There's also a lot of people who have never used a DOS prompt.
That's true. And the thing is, it is pre-recorded, so they could theoretically come in here if they're willing to put up with 3 hours of craziness for 5 minutes of tutorial.
So I started. So from there, I was like, holy cow, I can find things now. So I went.
And you took it really seriously.
I was.
back then.
I was like,
You took it more seriously than I did.
I needed to know what every .exe and every .com did. I needed
Right.
to know what each one of them. And then I found out that there are
You
commands.
knew every BIOS setting. You knew everything about the hardware in your computer.
I still know more DOS commands than most people will ever know in their life.
Right.
Most. I mean, some people.
Right,
are
and
like,
you kept moving forward with the newer PCs that came out.
Yes, I still write batch scripts in DOS today to do my job better.
Right.
And then, fast forward through all that, I had my dad eventually brought home like a 286, and then we never stepped into the 386. Something magical happened between 286 and 386 that I was not a part of.
Same thing.
Right?
Yep, 286 right to 46.
46, and I got the 46. It was a 46 DX 2/50, which means it was a 50 megahertz processor.
Right.
Clock doubled. Bam! Like, holy
So
cow!
just to put this in perspective, so you could only do in terms of video games, for example. So with 286s or the XT,
Single thread.
XT really like 4 to 6 frames per second side scrollers. Like the 286 could do like 10 to 16 frames per second side scrollers, but with very low resolution.
Let's not get started on the color palette.
When you got into the 486 space, that's where Doom was released.
Oh,
that
Doom.
was where the first-person shooter was released.
I just realized I lied to you before.
Yeah, go on. Well, it's the
My
I don't even know if you're lying. Because it's the live show.
PCXT
Yeah.
did not have a VGA because VGA wasn't even a thing.
Right.
It had an ISA card, and the ISA was CGA. Predates EGA. EGA was 16 colors. 16.
I had VGA.
He was like first computer.
rocking my
had like
first-
an EGA.
My first owned computer. We had borrow computers before
Right.
that. They were monochrome. But yeah, the first owned computer.
I love monochrome.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. When you were born, when we were born, you like see monochrome and it makes you smile. You're like, oh, it's only green and black.
You want a trip? You want
Yeah.
a trip? I actually met the guy who sold our family the computer. He came to a picnic.
That's so cool.
It is really cool, right? I got to talk. He remembers the order because it was a double order. We ordered one. Our church ordered one, and we ordered one.
Nice.
He remembers the order. How bonkers mom and pop shop is that?
That's awesome.
This is New York, people. There are freaking like 26 million people in this state. This city is like 14, 15 million people. And yeah. Anyway, continue.
Right. So, So I will correct that. I apologize. I know that somebody was like, PCXT, no way you could have a VGA card. That's ridiculous. That guy's a joke and a liar.
Well, you can play with this, and make them fight each other in the parking lot. Trick them,
I was just an accident. It slipped. I forgot that CGA even existed. In fact, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then my dad brought home like this really cool thing, a dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
And he plugged it in and it had this thick ass friggin' connector called an LP, like a parallel connector. Mm-hmm. And that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, remember when I used my dot matrix printer for evil? You remember that? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
There was an official document that came from the school. Be careful of your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. So you know what? That's good. You're forgetting we're on the TV now. The truth is coming out.
Oh no.
Yeah. So look at me. I'm about to do it too. So yeah, there was an official document. I'm not going to specify which one that was printed on a dot matrix printer in school.
Might have been a forgery.
It might have been. There may have been forgeries, but this could be lies because this is the lie show.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I might have gotten caught, but not for a while.
Let's think about something similar to how Ferris Bueller worked on his 9 times.
I was really bad at school, wasn't I? I was so bad it flipped around and I got rewarded for it.
Absolutely, yeah. You like aced. You were like this. You won school.
I escaped. I totally escaped the system.
You did.
I really did.
The system couldn't have you down.
Yeah, everyone's like, Snake Plissken? I thought you were dead. That's right. Escape from New York. If I've spoiled it, whatever, man. 1 month spoiler rule.
And then what happened? So yeah, and then my dad got like.
And then you just had a bunch of odd jobs, and you weren't taking computers very seriously, man.
It's funny, I did. So like everyone was like
clerk jobs, and I'm like, dude, you're smarter than this. What are you doing?
Everybody was like, well, you know what? I'll tell you why.
Why?
I went to school in 11th grade. What? Oh, sorry. I'm just going to put them back here.
You do one hand, don't do 2 hands.
I went to school, and they gave us what's called an aptitude test. And I said, ooh, aptitude, this will help me find out
I've got a lot of attitude.
what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. This test is designed to tell me what I'm going to be good at and what jobs I can have in my career. I think it was in like 11th grade or something. Mm-hmm. I took it, and the options were farmer, clerk, and choice B that was completely 3C that was completely really ridiculous. I was like, that's not even a thing. Dude. So I was like, so I can be farmer or clerk. All right, clerk. And that's what I did.
You followed the instructions.
I did.
Yeah. Your life was totally screwed up until you stopped following instructions, man.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I hate to say that, but, the instructions are good for computers, but for humans, not so mixy things.
Listen, without going into too much detail about what shell of a human being you knew when you first met me.
See, I'm like, this guy is the funniest, most awesome, charismatic guy, and he's really intelligent. And then I'm just like, why is he not using it? Why? And I'm really glad that you're finally that you've been established for a decade in IT, and you belong here. I don't know why it took you so long to come around.
I had some damage when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My parents were getting divorced for a long time.
Are your parents still getting divorced? Yeah.
So,
it's a lot of fun.
You see this right here?
It's like a whole shtick.
This doesn't happen when your parents love each other.
Is that? Thank you. Now I understand what happened. Yeah.
You got one of these?
Yeah, I got one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Jay have one of those?
There's a train wreck. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of people like this. Whole country full of people like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel bad for my kids. They're so well adjusted. They're missing out.
You know what? It's going to be good for them. I work in an office.
I feel like I should be meaner to them or something. I'm like, guys, what's up? They're just like, well, they do beat each other, so there's that, brotherhood.
There's always going to be sibling rivalry.
Right.
I work in an office, and many of them are like, sort of that millennial age, like very new and very smart and very.
Yeah.
And they seem like they grew up with people that cared about them. So that must be nice. I feel like it's a very key to being successful. No, I'm not jealous. I learned a lot about. I grew up on the streets.
New York City. That's a cartoon. We're not really.
Stevie Washington, the Angry Youth.
Yeah, we're not really
die.
Attacked by ninjas every day, dude.
Good luck finding that reference. I don't know if it's even on the internet. Really, I'm like too old.
It's great. Somewhere, it's going, yeah.
Stevie Washington.
You can hear him
Good
from
luck.
here.
See if you can find it. I'm curious.
Stevie Washington, New York. The Angry Youth. Just that quote, you'll find it. Sorry. What happened that got you into IT? Like, where did you break in and decide, okay, I should actually do something with these skills?
Everyone was like, you're so good at computers. Why don't you do that for a job? I'm like, I got this cool warehouse job. I'm like lifting shit.
Right.
I drive a forklift.
Yeah,
Washington, the Angry Youth, born and died in New York, New York. The turn of the century, all crime. Anyone else remember these? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Something for you to do homework on tonight.
You can't give them homework.
Oh.
That's not how this works.
Sorry, you give them homework.
I'm not giving. Nobody gives them homework.
All right, fine.
Stop
Don't
abusing my show. Anyway, keep going.
I have my hand on the mic switch.
No, don't cut him off. He's good. It's my fault. I gave him booze.
Yeah, it's true. It's Matt's fault.
It is my fault. Speaking of which, I need more booze.
So now everyone was like, you're really good at computers. Why don't you do that? I'm like, how am I going to do that for a living? Nobody's going to take me seriously, even though I'm awesome at it.
Well, it turns out that people really need their computers fixed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the 90s, in the late 90s, so Windows 95, people needed their computers fixed a lot because in Windows 95, was when really the internet was a thing.
Well, that was a double thing. So one is Windows 95 was a train wreck of bugs and exploits and misnomers, and also people had no idea what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So it was both.
Yeah. Well, so
it was PEPCAP problems and actual Microsoft problems.
I blamed Microsoft for a lot of things when I was younger, and come to realize that it wasn't their fault. They had no idea what was coming. They had no idea. They
could have predicted. No, I disagree with that. So totally seriously, Gates had all the pieces to figure out what was going to happen. He could have figured it out. What really happened in that time is that the driver base was exploding, and you needed something like open source. This is where Linux won. This is the battle.
That is where Windows won.
This is where Windows 95 is where Linux won.
They were not. Microsoft was not fast enough.
Nobody took it seriously. I mean, nobody. Even the people who could take it seriously didn't take it seriously until Windows 95 came out, and then they're like, okay, this is a huge problem.
We need an alternate
because there was so many different drivers coming. I mean, it was every generation of computers, because there was so much cloning. It was called cloning back then because it was all back from the original clean room with the compact BIOS, and there were so many different versions of computers, and there was so much money to be made, it was just exploding by an order of magnitude every generation. And there was just so much hardware out there. There were just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of hardware, and they just didn't have the infrastructure in place in Microsoft to make all those drivers play nice together.
That's what we call the golden days.
They didn't really isolate them from each other, and the way that they do now in their software. So like, there was a double problem. One is the operating system wasn't sandboxing them in any way, and the other one was that it was just because they weren't sandboxing them and there were so many different drivers, the odds of being able to stomp on even a meaningful fraction of the interactions were almost zero. So everybody would ship a driver with their thing, and they would just interact with the other drivers in unforeseen ways. And in Linux, that wasn't the case because you had the source code, and even if it was a case and you found the interaction, you just fix it. You got the source code for this driver, the source code for this driver, and you go, I fixed it.
Right.
And the result was a more stable operating system. But they could have, I don't know what they could have done about it. I mean, in hindsight, we know what they could have done about it. But at the time, I don't know if they could have, but at least they could have seen it coming. They could have seen the exploding hardware platform that was and the interactions. They could have sandboxed more.
They could have sandboxed.
They could have sandboxed the hardware drivers.
Was that a thing back then? Was that like a theory back then? I don't know.
Well, it was because it was heavily used in the Unix space. But
Unix,
the thing is, it wasn't.
Always had security.
But Unix was always
from the get-go.
Unix was always built to design, built to spec, and had an HCL. HCL is a hardware compatibility list. So when you have a hardware compatibility list,
isn't that HCL?
Yeah, HCL. That's
there you go.
Was I mumbling? I'm sorry.
I think you said DL, but
I meant to say HCL if I said HCL. So I was mumbling. That was a mumble, folks. That was not. I did not say a D. I meant to say. I'm going to keep drinking. Anyway, so yeah, the HCLs were. I feel like this is some sort of voodoo doll of me. Anyway, so the HCLs were essentially what it is you have a list of blessed hardware that works and you've tested with each other. And in the old days, it was much more common. Now you don't see it because the thing to beat is Linux, and there's so much hardware that's already kind of all written into the same kernel. They're all sitting there together, so the entire kernel team can help test it and to root out the problems. So
it's amazing how.
And Microsoft's adopted a process like that. I don't know if you know this, like in-house.
Microsoft always looks to Linux for good ideas.
Yeah, I mean they when they started their move towards more open source and more SaaS, they really started said okay, they just flattened all the siloing inside of Microsoft. And they said okay, people should be able to look at each other's. People should be able to look at each other's codes and help each other, and just that alone kind of created like a mini open source space, and that's when their drivers started getting better.
Right. They were like, well, we do all this collaboration tools. Wait a minute, let's use them.
I mean, it's just when there's thousands of things, it's really hard to make them coordinated. So anyway, so keep going. How did you get into tech again?
I don't know. Honestly. So what the, I don't want to toot my own horn because I'm not really,
You think my wife's telling me to bring milk? I mean, people love the show.
I mean, I hate to say it because I just hate to sound like a dick, but I'm awesome at what I do. So,
and what is that? Give me details on it.
It's exactly what I did when I first started with computers. Oh no. Is I learned the shit out of. Sorry, I get one of those. Yeah,
that's fine. No, dude,
I learned the shit out of a system. I learn it. Like I understand it on a degree that most people don't. Like I look. Yeah, I don't want to say like, the movie like. Beautiful Mind. I'm not like that guy.
Right.
Like, cause he was like way beyond. But like when I look at a software,
right,
I look up into this guy and I can see like how it works, like and like a giant chart in my head. Like, so like once I learn all the pieces of it, I am like awesome at that. So like I know exactly where it's gonna go wrong. I know how to fix it. I know how like. I know where like I need developers to say this piece is wrong and this is why and this is what you need to do to fix it. Like so
you're all about studying the hell out of it and get to a point where it's literally just modeled in your mind.
Yes.
And you can just get in there and get the details. So we're actually different like that. I'm all about, I just want to know how everything works. I'm just curious. And my problem is I get bored. So once I have a pretty good general idea how it works, I'm like, okay, whatever, next thing.
Yeah.
But you just keep going.
Yes.
Yeah, you just can't. That's actually.
I'm like Ant-Man. I'm down there in like the molecular level. I'm like,
right, you're in the quantum realm where time matters.
I think you discussed.
Spoiler warning.
I think you discussed the quantum realm with another guy you were talking about on this show.
Yeah. So we had an engineer whose favorite hobby is physics, and we were talking about the quantum space.
Did
And
he have a degree in it?
I don't believe he does have a degree, and I think his degree is in engineering. He took enough physics courses, and he loves it enough that he really knows it.
He does know how to do the deep dive.
Right. So
that's me.
So that's that manual skill where you read it from front to back, and everybody else gets to page 50 and they say, okay, that's enough that I can get this done, and they stop.
Yes.
And you just keep going. And,
Yep. I keep on digging, and that's where people are like, what is wrong with you, man? But I love it. And it's not even like a difficult thing. I can use a software.
It's a struggle for me to do that, but
I start using a software, and in my head I'm like, this is the logic behind it, and it's like just from using it like once, and then I use it again. I'm like more pieces, and like as I'm using the software, and then something goes wrong, it breaks down, and someone goes, oh, that broke down because this, and I'm like, oh, there's more pieces. Now I have more of the puzzle.
Right.
So like by the end, and I don't write code. I do write some code, but like I understand code.
Yeah, you write some
and I write some code, and so like I get almost like, and I'm not Neo, like I'm not that awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like
nobody's Neo. That's imaginary.
I don't look at them.
That's
I don't
imaginary, dude.
Look at the computer and I see the code scrolling in front of me. That's like not how that works. But like I like can envision like the logical parts in my head and how they connect and how they're working together. And I didn't. I just assumed that that's how everybody worked with computers. I just assumed that everybody does that. Until I found out one day that that's not how it worked, and most people don't.
So most people do what I do, but they're also not curious. So most people just use the computer to accomplish the task to the minimum level, right? They just try a few things. If it isn't obvious how to do it, they ask someone who knows how to do it. They teach them just enough that they can get the thing barely done that they want to do, and then they promptly don't do it anymore and forget about it and don't wonder how it works.
Right.
So that's the typical user space. So there's actually people in the computer, successful people in the computer space, who are also like, I'm all about compiling unlike things. I love like just taking this and this and putting them together, and everyone's like, chocolate and peanut butter, no one ever thought of that. Like
Nice.
that's my space. I love that space. And the problem with it, of course, is if you're not constantly finding new things, you have no value. So that's a real downside. But for you, becoming the reference on a topic in a specialization, becoming super specialized, you can't beat it, and I really think that I'm glad that you finally got into that space. So what kind of software were you working on? That what most people don't realize about the tech industry is that most jobs, when you're either programming or you're fixing problems or debugging things, you're not doing it for Microsoft Windows. You're doing it for a piece of software that business needs to get their work done.
Yes.
So what kind of software have you worked on in the past?
I'm going to start from the way beginning. So back in the day when I was talking about like the DOS 2.14,
Right.
my dad brought home a software package. You might have heard of it, Lotus 123.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
Right
this?
now, like 3 people have been in the show are like, Lotus! Windows ain't done until Lotus won't run.
No, I know, right?
Look that one up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You don't have to, Steve. This is for the viewers.
Yeah, so like, and I was like, what is this? He's like, this is called a spreadsheet. He's like, you can do math. I was like, math, really? What else can you do? Hey, you can do math. I was like, oh, math, okay. I was like, okay. Oh, look, there's a button, F1. F1's the help button. Tells you what all the commands do. F1.
Yes, that's true. For a decade and a half, F1 was always the help button. Now it isn't, but like it was consistent. It really was F1 for a long time.
Yep. I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff this can do. It doesn't just do math. It does all kinds of things. And then, so like, I was like, I played around with that. And then my dad brought home another software called DBase 3 Plus. And I was like, what does this do? He's like, it's a database. I was like, what's the database? A database is like what Excel does, except you can have more of them in one space.
See, if you were on a farm, this would be your dad bringing a tractor and a chainsaw home.
Yes.
And you'd be like, what do these do?
Yeah,
and then you'd play with your chainsaw and your tractor. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my dad didn't tell me like how to use it or like what really what he used it for. I think he showed me like a spreadsheet once that he had.
So your dad was kind of a geek. He was a tech.
He was, yeah, he was definitely a tech. Mm-hmm. He was a programmer at some point. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he didn't.
That's another thing I'm polling to find out who is STEM working or not. Because of course, if it's a bloodline thing, if it's in the family, and of course, guess what we're finding out? Same goddamn thing that it is everywhere else, right? Where some people it's nature, some people it's nurture.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that,
and everybody who's like it's nurture are just crazy and not helping.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
My dad, bless his soul, he's not with us anymore. He was a very stubborn guy. I
remember.
He was a very smart guy. He was very intelligent. Unfortunately, he stopped at a certain point, and kind of thought he knew everything that he needed to know. And programming continued on and evolved into something new. So my dad, I found this out one time when you always look up to your parents up until a certain point, and you're like, oh my God, it's
called having kids.
He's just a human being.
Yeah. You pop out a couple kids within 6 months, you're like, whoa.
Well, this was and so.
And the Neo kind of whoa.
You're like, oh my God, he's not superhuman. So he's like, and I think he felt it when I realized that wasn't like a thing anymore, and he was sad. But anyway, that's a different story. So that's not for this show.
Right. Whatever you want, man.
But I recognized it when he said, programming hasn't changed, right? It's still like input, process, and output. And I was like, oh my God, that's from like 50 years ago. Oh my God, there's objects and methods and what's that other thing? And concatenation functions. And
so where were you learning that stuff from? Because you don't have like a computer science degree or anything.
Well, I took some computer science courses.
Okay. So some of it was college.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the concepts,
I mean,
trying to figure out what he missed, right?
Yeah. I mean, learning programming that's important if you're in computer science.
More than ever.
I think,
when to deploy servers, you got to program.
I feel for the people who are in IT and didn't actually ace assembler and C and those sort of rudimentary courses.
So just today, there was a question that went out. How many people have actually written direct instructions to the processor? Like 5 hands went up, and I was one of them. So actually, it's a lot of people for you to feel bad for. So
I'm good, thanks.
Can we get coffee? Is that possible?
You said I can make some.
Is that possible?
I'm sorry, man.
Is there
Thanks
any
a lot.
way?
I feel bad. I don't want to put too much work on them, but
That's all right. Yeah, that's cool.
I don't want to.
I'm sorry. I've been abusing your engineer, but I like him. I think he's cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I'm not going to tell him that right now.
He's part of the show. I mean, he really is.
That's awesome.
And I mean, when I first came to the studio, I was expecting, basically just it was really meant. It was just kind of a happy accident. It was just meant to fill in the space until I built my own studio, and I really like working with them. So I know what they're doing.
It's funny. When I listened to your show the first couple times, I was like, so I pictured it a lot different. I was like, all right, Matt rented a space, put up a camera, has a computer recording his thing. That's what I just assumed was going on.
Right. That's what most people do. Right.
And then like I heard another voice. I was like, "Who's that?" And like it was like your engineer. I'm like, "He has an engineer."
Is that God?
That's like a real radio show. He's got like an engineer. He's like an Opie and Anthony right now.
Right.
This is like a Howard Stern happening up in here.
Wow, I went from a guy alone in his basement to like an international sensation in one synapse. That's awesome.
I figured, he's got an engineer. He must be something. This must be really something big. But no, that is.
Well, they've helped make the show much better, and so let me tell you why we're live and why I do live video. And you can stop me if you don't think this is true, but for me, one of the things that's great about this format is that it's not really for now, it's for the future. This is where we're heading. I'm a futurist. So we're sitting in the future right now, in my mind. And I mean, like, I just heard...
I thought there'd be more neon in the future.
Where are my flying cars? Where are my flying... Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, with our first guest, Isaac, was that's where the Segway thing came from. He's like, I thought there'd be more Segways in the future.
Yeah.
It was a similar conversation. Yeah, no, there aren't enough. Do you know that the owner of Segway died on a Segway when his Segway went off a cliff? This happened a few months ago.
I really am fighting back laughter.
Just forget it, dude. He's dead. He's not going to be offended.
It's just so ironic.
I mean, what a great, and that's our shtick is Segways. So like, it's like, forget it, man.
That's like, the classic, I invented a technology and the technology is what killed me.
Dude, it's like a supervillain from a comic book.
Oh, man.
Right, like it's like Doc Ock or something,
Ooh, perspective.
I mean, like maybe a Segway was just angry. I'm tired of you stepping on me, and we're going down together.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. Ghost of the Machine. So I mean, speech and video and speech synthesis is there. I mean, it's not kind of there. There was just this is just at the news. Google actually put together an AI that was good enough to make reservations with like a maitre d' at a restaurant, and he didn't know he wasn't talking to a human.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it is awesome.
Pass the Turing test.
But it's also terrifying because you can use any voice you want in there. So literally watching live audio right now, forget about it. Pre-recorded, edited audio or video could just be a total lie.
Yeah.
But even live audio could be a lie right now.
I could be a robot right now. You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Well, you would know because they're not there with video yet. They can do video, but it's really, there's a limited group of people who can do live video editing, but it's really expensive and complicated, and it's hard to do something specific, especially with a show that's this long. So one of the many reasonings for all the parameters of the show is that you are you and I'm me, and we're really talking, and this is not a lie. So even if we're lying, the show itself is not a lie.
That's true.
It's not technically possible in 2019 for the show to be a lie. So, and that's not going to be true for much longer. Edits are lies, man. I mean, that's what they really are.
I mean, yes.
I mean, in the most loving possible way. I mean, they are. I mean, the edits are great, but
edits
they're
are
also
like
lies.
the lies you tell your kids.
Yeah.
To make their lives a little better.
Well, this is one of the reasons I got so freaked out. There was
kids, you should never lie, especially to your kids.
Yeah, and we no, yeah, you should lie once in a while. You really should, because you don't just tell people what you think. Listen, visible thought bubble guy. You don't just tell people what you think right off the bat. You got to censor yourself a little bit, right?
I do.
Yeah. But no, that's fine. I mean, I've done it too. Somehow, amazingly, I don't think I've done it that badly on the show. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because sitting in this position is good for me, or I've just done the right amount of speedballing, or I've been just lucky. But like for whatever reason, I had a lot of time doing tech talks in front of Lilac and in front of a group of people.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of practice. And I'm like, this is a weird skill I have, and I don't think a lot of other people have this. Everyone feels like I can do that, and they can after 20 years of practice.
You were always the one that we sent out to
Right, to meet new people, to interact with new people. Like,
Yes.
let's send an away team, Matt and someone else. I was in the away team always.
Yes, you were
right?
always in the away team.
I was always in the away
And you
team.
always came back alive.
I always came back
I can't
alive.
say that for the rest of the team.
Well, you wouldn't know what you don't want to know what I said about everybody else in the team to keep myself alive. But I came back alive.
Yes.
Yes. So now I've gotten better at playing both sides, so it's not as obvious anymore.
And, we also had a method. We were like, all right, Matt brought people back. Now we make Matt look silly, and then
Right.
we look okay.
Right. They were completely destroying me before the show. I mean, everybody. It was just like there were people just running in from the hallway, just like, yeah, look, it's Matt.
Yeah,
What a
it's true.
doofus. And honestly, it was really funny, so I just let it go.
I don't know what it is, man. You had like this weird vibe where people were like, that guy's just silly.
Well, it's the last show we were talking about this. Actually, it was it gets weird at this age, so I think that started to break. So actually, it happened to me just naturally, and then I started using it. So I'm gonna just be blunt here. I manipulated quite a few people, and here's exactly how I did it. So I would manipulate people by letting them think that I was dumber than I was on purpose. I would actually play stupid and let them underestimate me and then crush their dreams and hopes.
Nice.
Right when they went to crush mine, usually got to do it right on target. Like I was just like a karma smart bomb.
Well, it's funny.
But now when you get to our age, it's like, when the gray hairs start coming in, people just think you're dumb.
Yeah.
It doesn't really like people who are not necessarily bad people just start thinking you're dumb if you play dumb. So I've had to step it up and okay, actually I do know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Da, 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 da.
No, I get you.
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, not that I can't self-deprecate. There's no bigger critic of me than me. Well, maybe my wife. There's no bigger critic of me and my wife. Well, maybe Mark Mendoza. There's no bigger critic of me and my wife and Mark Mendoza. Maybe you too. I don't know. That's why I invited you on the show, because who else could knock me down a few pegs?
It's true.
And you guys did.
Sometimes you need it.
Yeah, sometimes I need it. Sometimes I just like it. Maybe I've gotten weird, Yeah.
You're like,
Bring it. It's fun.
I haven't had it in a while.
Cool. So that was interesting about your tech background.
Yeah. So I was just getting into the good stuff.
No, keep going.
DBase 3 Plus. I don't know if you heard of it.
Dude, most people don't know what DBase 3 Plus is. Keep going. Tell me what it is.
So that was like the predecessor, the successor to DBase 2,
Right.
which was the successor to DBase.
Right. Yeah. Obviously,
Written by, I believe it was written
people
by.
know how to count, man. Come on.
I believe it was
You're messing with me now.
put into the world by a company called. I want to say it was Ashton Tate, but I don't think it was Ashton Tate.
Perfect. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'll do a mug. Boom. Great. You can just bring it here. I'll pour it.
Landfill, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the landfill.
The organization that I work for now is very green, and like they totally bash you for anything you put in a landfill.
Right.
Team War, do you think that's good?
Take it, Bernie.
Which is what?
Yeah, Bernie.
No.
Okay.
More is that good?
That's great. That's perfect. Thanks so much.
Not to say that they do it with bad intention, and it's just like they want to save the planet. I mean, it's kind of their thing. But
Someone today got overexcited about me using a ceramic cup. I was a little too overexcited. I'm like, dude, landfills are the mines of the future. You're robbing our children.
dude, I had to get an aluminum coffee mug with a lid that kept my coffee warm for 4 hours because they had a meeting, and in the meeting it was like a meeting where the whole IT department comes together for these all hands meeting, and they're like, yes, and we found that there's a lot of this might not have been in the tech all hands meeting.
No, we did this in our.
This might have been in like the floor meeting.
When I was doing the 9 to 5 thing.
There's been a rise in paper cup usage. We hope that you will get yourself a mug so that we can use less paper. And I totally think that that's awesome. But like I had to spend like $8 on a mug.
Yeah.
And they even give you a mug, so it's like really sad.
Any science experiments? in the mug?
No.
No.
No, but it's so the
Mine got
when
science.
you
I'd go on vacation, come back, and there'd be a forest in there.
that's scary. My company, they were like awesome because like they're like, welcome aboard, and here's a mug for your coffee. So they give you a mug, like a mug, like a regular mug, so that you don't use the paper mugs. But like I had an unfortunate incident because I'm a clumsy klutz, and
Tell me about the unfortunate incident.
taking my coffee mug and I go to put it up on my shelf in my what are they, overhead shelf thing with the thing that comes down and closes. I forget what that's called.
Yeah, it's called a cabinet. Continue.
All right. It's going to be like that.
Yeah, I can get it back.
So I'm going to put it, I'm like fumbling around. It was like a particularly stressful day and I'm fumbling around. And I got to leave I got to leave my office at 5, no later than like 5:03. Otherwise, I'm late home by 20 minutes because I work in the city now. So I missed the subway that gets me to the train on time. So I'm like rushing around. I got to throw my laptop in the bag and my power cord. I just put my coffee mug up on the shelf. Missed the shelf. Comes crashing down on my desk and into a billion pieces. I was like, no, they gave me that mug. Went to ask for a new one. They're like, no, that's only for new people. So I was like, oh man, my one opportunity of saving the earth.
We're just going to have to go ahead and ask you to buy yourself a new mug there, Brad. Thanks, that'd be great. We'd appreciate it if you did that.
And I
Thanks,
did.
Brad.
I did. I get it, you know.
That's my office
You
space
can't
impression.
just, I know.
Thanks a lot. Go ahead and just do that, please. Thanks.
Yeah, we just need you to buy a new mug. That'd be great.
It's not in the budget for the company. It's just not, the money's not there.
So we like to save the new mugs for
your responsibilities.
the new employees.
Yeah. The old employees get to keep their old
I
mugs.
can't
That's part
buy a
of the
bash
program.
on my current position because I love the organization I work for right now.
Great.
Very progressive.
Right.
And it makes me smile that I work there. But anyway, so DBase 3, basically a relational database.
So what was the difference between Lotus and DBase?
Well-
was that realization big for you?
It was huge. Now, in a spreadsheet, you could have a table. In a relational database, you can have a table and another table and another table, and they can be connected by a field. So that if you updated one table, it updated the data in this table, and updated the data in this table. And
Right.
now, like, that's when the real magic started happening. And I used that, and the first thing I did was I talked to my brother. He was into dinosaurs at the time. And I'm like, I'm making a game, and you're going to help me. Because you know a lot about dinosaurs. He was 8.
And the beatings continued until you had a dinosaur game.
He was happy to be involved. He was 8, and he knew everything about every dinosaur
Thanks again, man.
that ever walked the earth. And I was like,
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. You can't even taste the poison.
Oh, hell yeah. If you taste bitter almonds, let me know. I think there's no sign.
Oh, I didn't tell you that this is also a cult. Continue.
did you only poison his or both of ours? Oh, no. Hey, man, how come it says Kool-Aid on the side?
Yep.
Sorry.
Don't use red cups. It's too obvious.
It's Site 22, watch out.
I was telling Matt before that I think you're an awesome engineer.
Thank you.
But I mean, I haven't met a lot of them, but, you know, kudos.
You're a guest.
Thanks.
Dude, you're drunk rambling, man. You only had one drink.
I had 2, man.
All right.
2 glasses of wine.
I love you, man. I love you.
I love you too, Ryan.
I love you,
You know,
bro.
I feel bad because I was like kind of bustling on him before and making him get me M&Ms and stuff, but I don't mean to be like that.
No. He knew to not take you seriously.
All right.
Everyone was warned. The whole floor has been prepared for weeks.
I got this dude coming on my show. Just let him do his thing. He doesn't mean any harm.
We got to get this on the record before the video gets wonky.
Yeah.
Before the AI takes over.
But yeah, so I
Hands. Hands.
oh, we probably missed, while you were gone, we probably missed like half the audio.
We'll pick it up off Matt's mic then.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You still can hear it. It gets a little muffled.
Raise the gain.
Yeah. It took me like 12 episodes to get it right. I still blow it once in a while.
Yeah, so I said to my brother, who knew everything about dinosaurs at the time, I was like, we'll make it a big game. It's going to be like a quiz game about dinosaurs, and you're going to help me. So I used it, and so what the cool thing about DBase 3 was that, like, and the cool thing about DOS in general, which you don't get today, which is why I'm not a programmer, is that you lived in a world that was a box. And the box was a grid, and it had 80 this way, and it had 24 this way, and that's what you had to work with.
Right.
And I could live in that world.
My comp sci programs were written like that.
It's basically a piece of graph paper.
Right.
So I could make dinosaurs, and I could make dinosaurs animated in DBase 3 Plus. I wrote functions, I wrote procedures, and I wrote a database backend that had the answers, and I had the questions. And
when you got this all done, how did your dad react to this?
I don't think he even knew that I did that.
I don't remember this. I never saw this program.
Nah, you wouldn't have. It was before I even knew you.
Wow.
I was like, well, my brother was 8, so I must have been 13.
Dude, this is pretty hardcore stuff. That's actually pretty difficult to do, especially like back then, you know.
It was just, I was like, well, I could do ifs, I can do variables. I was like, ooh, variables? What can I put in those? Anything? Oh, this is awesome.
That's awesome. I want to use that as a sound clip for the show. The discovery of variables. Anything?
I'm using memory. I can actually access this. It's fantastic. RAM, this is real? Okay.
And I thought this was going to be boring.
I'm sure it's boring for somebody. If my wife was watching this right now, she'd be like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible.
Why are you talking about databases?
Stop talking. She's like, if she's watching, so she's talking about.
Mix some explosions in your gut.
She was talking about watching it live, and I was like, yeah, I think you can watch it live. I think it is actually live.
It is live,
It's technically live. So I think she's like, yeah, but I got to put the kids to bed, so maybe I won't. I'm like, all right, well, whatever happens. But if she were watching it right now, she'd probably be like, oh, yawn, and be sleeping.
Sleepy face. Is there a sleeping emoji? Is there one that's more sleeping?
And I love you, babe. But she doesn't. She's not a big fan of technology.
She knows. It's good you said it though, because the poison. You know, you'll start.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so that's the end. But anyway,
we're done.
So like, and even at that time, so I made this whole game. It was like a 20-question game, and like if you got the right answer, like the dinosaur would move and do like something cool. What else? So,
well, based on Jurassic Park, I know that I think it's a Stegosaurus is really good at pooping. It was a massive pile of poop. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we did that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil Jurassic Park for you.
1 month rule, jeez.
Yeah. I know. I love that. I love it when people get mad at spoilers that are like for 30-year-old movies and stuff. That's the best kind of outrage.
What do you next? Wilson Hitchcock?
Like I was planning on watching that sometime this century.
Yep.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah. So that's great. That's a really cool
and
story.
even at that point, like I was just like, oh, anybody could do this. This is like a thing. Everyone's probably doing this at home.
No, dude.
That was the disconnect. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had a computer.
Not everybody can do that.
It was in my basement.
Everybody has the software to do that available to them now. Because this is the great thing about Linux and the Raspberry Pi is it's just totally accessible.
I know.
You get that little piece of hardware for $29, and you can there's all these programming languages that come on it, and you're done. You get a little SD card, buy a keyboard and a mouse, and you're good.
I know.
And I mean, it was a problem when we were younger. The stuff was expensive that you're talking about.
Super expensive.
Yeah.
Now that teaching kids, my son goes on Scratch and he's like having a ball. I'm like,
my kids are doing Scratch
can you
too.
imagine if we had Scratch when we were kids?
Oh yeah.
We'd be like,
dude, I asked my mom for. I mentioned this in another one. I'll probably avoid mentioning this for a few shows. But I asked my mom for a C compiler, and it was $300. She said no.
No.
Yeah. It's not her fault. I don't blame her.
Well, that's the crap.
Damn, imagine.
That's the crap thing about DOS and Windows is that what you can get like Wacom C. I tried it. It's garbage.
Right.
Sorry, Wacom. I don't like it.
It's over, man. It's over.
But you go into
the past.
You go into Unix. GCC is right there.
Right.
There, it's free.
Yep.
Thank God for GNU.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think Richard Salma was in town recently. I'd love to get him on the show. And yeah, so we have some big. I have plans. I don't know if he's going to go with the show, but
Sure, like him.
this isn't an announcement. I won't announce until I announce it. But so I heard that you didn't watch Endgame.
I didn't watch Endgame.
I think you're the only person on Earth, based on the sales numbers.
That is because
Assuming that the piracy is the problem that the MPA says it is, you may be the only person on Earth that did not watch Endgame.
I watched Iron Man when it came out, like Iron Man, the first one. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I watched Iron Man 2, and I'm like, was pretty cool, but like pretty much the same. And I watched Avengers, and I was blown off the planet. I was like, holy cow, that's everything a movie should be.
Right.
And then, it kept on going. I was
you were
like,
a fan.
I was a fan.
Right.
I watched Captain America, I watched Winter Soldier, I watched Thor, and Ragnarok, which was like,
duh.
I mean,
I don't understand why people weren't more posts going around about it. I was like, this is the best movie ever. And everyone's like, yay! I'm like, they actually put the Immigrant Song in a movie.
I know, right?
Just that alone.
That was awesome. And I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, well, that was silly. And then I watched.
In a good way.
Well, yeah, that's true, but
Well, you see, you don't understand that Batista is you. You're just literal guy, and just blah blah blah.
I was like, why is there a fox?
Who is this man angel that has fallen onto our spaceship? He's not a man angel.
So and I was like, this is like, and it was ramping up, and everything that has a beginning has an end, and I always forget that.
Yeah. Right.
So, I couldn't see it coming.
Including actors' contracts, yes.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is going to be beautiful forever.
It's not a cartoon. They're actors. Eventually they get old. And it just doesn't work. Captain America or the Walker, work for the end of the movie, not the middle of the movie.
That's true. So when I got to this one with Infinity War, like things were getting pretty freaking intense when with Avengers, the one where he lifted part of the planet, the AI guy lifted part of the planet, and yes, Age of Ultron. Thank you.
Jump cut.
Yeah. Jump cut. Yeah, they did a whole thing on Avengers.
Nice.
We did a rapid fire for every movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good show.
So now my son's like, I want to watch Endgame. And I'm like, you're not watching Endgame until you watch all of the other movies first and make a decision on whether or not you want to watch Endgame. Because you're not going to jump.
Christ, you made him smoke the whole pack, didn't you?
Well, I told him there was something like he could skip out on, like you don't have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's thinking now.
You can skip Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple of ones you can skip.
Yeah, that was weak. That was Iron Man. I think was a little weak. I think we all saw it.
Yeah.
We all saw that was weak.
All right. Yeah, we get it. You make a lot of money. Okay. And so this Infinity War, even like Winter Soldier, Civil War was amazing. I was like, wow, they did something different. Like, you don't even know whose side to be on. This is fantastic. And then like this one came out, Infinity War, and I was like, oh no. They took it like into a place.
Were you happy for most of the movie, and then at the end you were like, what?
Yes.
Yeah,
just like everybody. Yeah. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but most of us realized they were going to make another movie, right? You knew that they were going to make another movie, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at that point, I was like, I don't want them to make a movie. Like to me, it ends there. I'm like, all right. This reality, like there's this suspending your disbelief, and then there's like, all right, this is no longer even in the realm of realities where I can suspend my disbelief. There is no way they can fix that. Like in my head, there's no way they can fix that. So if they fix that in the next movie, like, I'm not interested.
They fixed it.
I'm sure they did.
It wasn't the best. There were problems, but it was still very good. They did a good job of fixing it.
It's all that Thor's fault, man. Had he just aimed for the head?
Dude, you gotta watch the movie. You gotta watch the movie because this is you need the look. We live in a pop culture, whether you like it or not, right? No, No. Actually, I think the superhero movies are dead. I think that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they blew their load after this. So.
But they're entering the new phase. You got Far From Home.
Oh, I'm sure. Right now, if a Marvel exec even took me 1% seriously, they would have a heart attack just hearing that. But I think they're dead. Because I think what happened is, I think that there was all of this pent up energy to give comic books, which are basically just storyboarded movies ready to go, dumbasses.
I know.
Gave comic books more cred from like the 60s on. And there's all this pent up energy. I think they just blew their load. I think that they're gonna, I think maybe it won't be the next movie or the next movie, but sometime in the next 5 years, it's just gonna go. A movie that's good and should have done well is just gonna go. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the DC stuff is the warning.
Too bad. And it's too bad for silly little DC. They got some good characters. Not all. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Come on, like Aquaman, guys. Were you kidding? Like honestly.
Wait, you didn't like Aquaman? I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a better one.
It wasn't better than Wonder Woman for sure.
But I mean, Batman doesn't kill.
Captain America. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. But Wonder Woman was a direct ripoff of Captain America.
This is true.
Yeah.
With the worst final act.
But you know what?
Yeah, well, and in fairness to the woman that plays Wonder Woman, most of the movie was good, and she was amazing.
She was awesome.
She was awesome.
She did a great job.
I bought it. I totally bought it. But and actually, all the actors in those movies were good.
Captain Kirk was in that.
Yeah. That was pretty good. And but like. I know who I'm thinking. What's his name from Harry Potter? The actor that played, the bad one, the bad guy.
He was in that.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good actor, but
didn't see him.
yeah, he's the bad guy from the end. Remember, he turns out he was one of the friends, and then he turns out he's the evil doer that she has to fight off. Or
That was him.
yeah,
The makeup was good.
yeah.
They did a good job. I didn't recognize him.
I don't know. Maybe the name's wrong. I'm terrible with celebrity names, but he's looking it up. But
Harry Potter.
Because I don't think that was him.
Okay. Yeah, the one that played the werewolf. That was him.
Oh,
That guy.
Right. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw him the whole time.
Gary Oldman.
That's it. No? Maybe? This is not my strength. Anyway.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah. So screen time. I'm kind of curious what you think about screen time. Do your kids get to play on iPads and iThings and laptops forever, or is there a limit? Do you cut them off at some point?
There's a limit.
There's a lot of conflict over this.
There is a lot of conflict.
We're actually we don't have limits. I mean, we have limits like there's activities that you have to participate in, like dinner, but like other than that, if everything's done, if there's nothing else planned, we let them go on the screens. We let them play with their games.
My son gets an hour. He's got to finish his homework.
David Thewlis?
I don't know who that is.
That was like it.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Played Aries.
Yeah.
Aries.
Yeah. Okay. Aries. That was it. Thanks.
Yeah, my son, he's got to finish his homework before he gets any screen time at all during the week, which means most nights he doesn't get any screen time because third grade, man, they get a lot of homework. What the F?
Yeah. No, the homework's ridiculous. Yeah. Well, this is a result. So what they're trying to do. This is why we end up getting in a STEM conversation every single episode. Most episodes have been women in tech. By the way, I was pretty disappointed in the female showing in the cybersecurity world out there. There's not a lot of females in cybersecurity. We've been really lucky. We know lots of women in tech on the show because
Let me tell you
it's not good out there.
About cybersecurity. I love cybersecurity.
Continue.
I wish I could be a cybersecurity guy.
See, that's the kind of thing I want to hear. Why?
Because it's just like the technologies for that are really cool. Like sitting there and like opening up your, digging into your firewall and setting the rules and saying, oh man, I set it up so that it's awesome, nobody's getting in, and setting up all your internal security and setting up all the rules for people and how they are able to interact with your network. And
Right. That doesn't feel annoying and futzy to you?
no, that stuff's awesome. That's like
Right.
really that. So like, consider that what I told you about software and how I like see it like this up in space, like all the pieces.
Right.
When you think of like cybersecurity, there's so many more pieces. It's like going from a 150 piece puzzle to like 1,000, 2,000 piece puzzle.
Right.
You're just like, oh, that's so big, and I'm gonna make this all work.
Right.
But then the problem with that is,
well, the onion goes all the way from the top to the bottom, and in the past there was always kind of a bottom-up solution, which is just give root all the power, let him fix it, or whatever, the administrator,
Right.
All the power, and then and then maybe break it down into roles.
yeah, that's sort of like how it's been.
Right, and then it's kind of a new view where you're turning everything into like an onion, and you're just breaking it down into different layers. And we've had a few cybersecurity folks on here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I might be able to help you break in, man.
Well, here's the thing, though. While I would love to be able to do that, the stress level for that position, like, you have to get it right
Not if you're doing it right.
every time.
Yeah, but no, hold on a second. So, yes and no. See, the thing is, cybersecurity is a journey. It's not a destination. And this is a problem with thinking. Everybody's very interested. This is the problem with letting corporate thinking take over our culture, because in the corporate world, everything has to be measured. So everything needs to be a destination, and really, life's about the journey.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
And the journey's never over, or life's over. I mean, you kind of don't want the journey to end.
It
right?
ends at the end.
It ends at the end, right? So, and cybersecurity is a journey because it's also an arms race. So anytime you think you got it locked down, you got a bunch of human beings pointing at you, looking for ways to break through it.
Yes.
And it may not be necessarily at you, but eventually they will point at you, even if it's casual. If it's an advanced persistent threat, then yes, they're definitely pointing at you. But so like, I don't worry about it. You shouldn't. If you think you can't manage that stress, that's fine. But don't worry about the stress level preventing you from succeeding in that
It
field.
is. Yeah,
It really that just means the boss isn't really being fair to the process and getting it done. Which of course happens all the time too.
That would be the undue stress I'd put on myself, honestly, and it's beyond the level that I can manage, because I would be so angry at myself if I created this fortress and someone got in. I'd be like, that's it. It's like taking a car and accidentally running over a person. Like, I don't want to drive anymore if I do that, because I've gone to a point where I've lost control to such a point where I just don't want to do that anymore.
Right, I hear you.
Like, I've ruined it.
Well, I think that's what happens to old people. I think when they get old enough that their driving starts suffering. I mean, that's basically what happened with my grandma. Like, I don't think I want to out her or anything.
Sure, yeah.
She's gone 20-something years, and at the end she ran over my foot once. That was funny.
Whoops.
And she murdered a pear tree in someone's front yard, and that was it. She'd had a series of escalating things, and she's like, okay, I'm going to hurt someone. I'm going to stop.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, it was good of her to do that, because you don't actually have to do that. There's no system in place to force you to.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Silly us.
Yeah.
There's not like a 3 strikes and you're out rule. It's just you can accidentally run over as many people as you want.
That's not true. What do you think about automation and? Oh, sorry. Me?
Matt, yeah.
Me? It was me this time. See, I told you I still do it. He's like the whole monitor, man. Hand, butt,
You gotta come up with like a different
Button. Jesus.
Yeah, like a flashing red light or something.
That's a good idea. See, look, you're even debugging our studio.
I am.
Yeah.
You gotta put a counter on the screen for when you go back and edit this.
Right.
I'm learning the system and looking at the things that are wrong with it.
Yes.
Not
Which
because
endears
anyone-
you to plenty of people, right? I'm sure.
I keep my mouth quiet a lot.
Yeah.
You should see me in. So like we have these team meetings where my whole team is in a meeting. So it's called a team meeting.
Yeah.
And it includes like the director.
So we're going to
of my
have
group.
like a team meeting where the team is there, the whole team. And you're part of the team, so we're going to need you to go ahead and be there. Yeah. You were razzing me before the show, man.
Yeah, I know I was, but
I know.
that was off camera.
Yeah, it was off. No, but come on, man. Bring it, man.
I know.
I'm here.
I'm messing with you.
Just nothing illegal, that's all.
And like in a team meeting, I'm like the quietest person because I don't want to let on what I'm thinking. So like like right now I'm like in a calm and relaxed environment, so like, you know, my guard's not really up, but it's up enough because I know that I'm on camera and, like, you know, trying to keep it like relatively professional. Like when I'm in like a position where I'm like nervous and or like anxious, my filter comes down, and I'm a terrible person when my filter is off.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
I really haven't, like, I don't see it. I just see you as an accurate, honest person. Maybe that means I'm a terrible person.
You haven't seen me like walking in a neighborhood and someone's like grandfather is dying, you know?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing that happens when my filter's off.
So here's a secret about us. So underneath the surface, I really think that we're all psychopaths. And that our conscience is that thing that jumps in and stops us from you know, and that's the unique human evolution. So, like, to me, we all have dark thoughts.
Sure.
There's, in fact, one of the quickest ways for me to know if someone's a liar is if they say they never have dark thoughts. Everyone has dark thoughts.
Who doesn't have dark thoughts?
What kind of I guess it's possible if you put yourself in an environment where there's absolutely no conflict, you know, so you don't ever have thoughts. But that's not really, doesn't count as not having dark thoughts. If you don't have thoughts, if that's your method of not having dark thoughts, I don't approve.
It's a little restrictive.
It's a little restrictive, right? You know, but yeah, I think
everybody's got their methods. And I'm not going to.
You're not a terrible person. You're not. It's just normal. The question is,
but what happens is if we all put our filter so that we don't like you know, totally offend the people that we need to have around us and work with and be with and interact with. When I'm uncomfortable, my filter comes down, and if I'm uncomfortable, I might just lash out, like, and say stupid things that I can't take back. Because when my filter's off, it goes so far to the other end. That it's like,
I've been waiting for 10
my
years
God,
to
you
say
said
this
that?
crap.
He's a monster.
Well, all right. So let's see if I can tempt you into saying something terrible. So, because it's fun, for fun and profit. So, when it comes to automation, it's killing jobs. I mean, personally, I've nailed a dozen jobs myself, for sure, and probably more. But I've eliminated people with simple scripts and programs and systems and things like that. And I don't love it. I'm kind of on the fence about whether it's good or bad. But what do you think? Is this something that we should? What's the solution? Are we talking about, should we be Luddites and stop automation or slow it down so that we have more time to adjust? Should we do something like UBI, where we're you know handing people paychecks to basically, because we've gotten to the point where we're just recreation? You know, because I mean, the business model where we're all doing art for each other ain't going to work, right? And then, or is it going to be like a shorter work week, where you have more time to yourself, more time to work on yourself and make yourself into a better person? Or something else? Or is it not a problem at all?
That's a problem, but it's not. That's not the problem.
Right.
So, like I said before, I lived in England, and what I didn't get to say was that it's easy for an American in England to get a job and be a superhero.
Right.
Because the work ethic that we have here, the demand that we are under here to perform.
Is this just a New York thing? I think
it might be. It might just be.
Some of this is a New York thing for sure, because it's definitely easier out there.
Yeah. So it could be just be a New York thing. The demand. It's hard to say because I've worked.
And by the way, I'm not just being mean. I can quantify that. Heart attack capital of the world, right?
Probably.
Really, I mean, we are, by that measure at least, we are the most stressful place.
Probably.
New York.
New York.
I'm Googling it.
Yeah. It was true at one point. I don't know if it's true in 2019, but it was definitely true.
So it's funny because I worked in. My previous job, I worked with a lot of people from a lot of different parts of the country, and I found that what you're saying is not necessarily true.
Okay, sure.
I've worked in other places that have had distribution centers and headquarters and stuff where
they're working hard.
Yeah. Where the security guy in Nashville was busting his ass just as much as I was, trying to keep things going.
Right.
So
All right, maybe I'm being unfair.
I don't think it is. I think
I could be wrong. I've been wrong on the show before.
it's not.
Alabama and Tennessee past New York. It goes Alabama, Tennessee.
So it was New York at one point then. All right. Well, it makes sense. Nashville. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not lying, people.
So it's not really that other parts of the country. It's big cities that have big industry have big stress.
Are big cities just making us assholes?
Well, so like I was saying, so when I moved to England, because of the level of work that I have to do, the level of expectation that's required of me in New York, when I took that to England, they were like, "What are you doing? How is this even possible? How are you so good at everything?" I was like, "I'm not."
I don't know where to go with that.
It's not like that, but like it's just that, we wake up and get out of bed and put 110% into what we're doing.
Right. Well, some of us do. Some of us are just lazy bastards.
Well,
like
some
me,
of us have, gamed the system and won.
I put my 110% into that.
You did.
I really did.
Yeah. So
It's a reoccurring pattern with me. Yeah.
So if you go to a place and on their best day they put in 100%, you're still outperforming them, just because you're used to putting in 10% more than the best you can do.
Right.
Okay. So
Well, I'm glad it's not a big city thing, because we've had New York has doubled in our lifetimes. So if it's a big city thing, there's all these people with no experience being city people here. So if that was making them assholes, they'd be really big assholes right now.
Right.
That's not what I'm seeing out there.
Nah,
People are pretty friendly.
And, you know what?
Disappointingly friendly sometimes even.
If you go to New York City and you go to the corner and be like, "Dude, what do you call it?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's just go down, go to the Starbucks, take a right."
I'm in a fantasy world when I go to the city.
People are friendly.
That's how they are, and I'm like, my hands on my wallet. I'm giving people side eye. I'm like ready for a fight, I'm like from another planet at this point.
It's not. I mean, we're all people. It's just that there's, when it comes to, and I'm going to pick on capitalism. I am.
Shoot. Bring it.
Capitalism is.
If you go there with this or anything else, I will. Generally speaking, I'll play devil's advocate and take the other side.
That's fine.
I've defended socialism on the show too, so go for it.
So in England, capitalism. Look, any business needs capital. I get that.
Right.
People. I talk about capitalism and I talk about like the way things work, and people are like, "You don't know how the world works," and okay, maybe not. Maybe I don't know how the world works.
Right.
Maybe I do, and I just don't like it.
Right.
But I know that if you're a business, you need some. You have a good idea. You kind of get it started. You get to a point, and you just don't have the resources to keep going. You need some extra capital. You need some investment money. I get that.
Right.
Okay. So here. That's the stock market. You got crazy people, investors, and you let out some stock, and people throw money at you, and then they pretty much own you. Not to say that there isn't a stock market in some place like England, where I live, where I lived and worked there, and I saw how.
So we're really talking about barriers to entry here. Yeah, keep going.
So, over there. I worked for Geek Squad over there, which in England was a startup company. Because here it's like, what do you call it?
It's part of Best Buy in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your hand, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So here, it's established. There it was like a new idea, and they needed money, and they had investors, but it wasn't. And they had the same problems, but they didn't have it on the same level. Like there, it was like, okay, the funds are running low. We got to change some things. Here, it's like the funds are running low. This isn't performing. We're pulling out. You're dead. That's it. You're gone.
Right.
It's not like that in other parts of the world. So like that whole thing, it's like the investors in other parts of the world are like, I believe in this product. I'm gonna give you some money. I hope to get a return on it. I expect to get a return on it because I believe in the idea. Here it's like, oh, I'm going to take a chance. Let's put it on number 6. Spin the wheel. Oh no, it's crashing. Pull out. You're done. You're out.
Right.
So, and so that's that
Watch
to me.
The Wolf of Wall Street. Not The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sorry. Watch The Big Short.
I'm afraid I did.
Yeah. So you know. Yeah. It's exactly like that.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure, Wall Street's like that part of the time.
Part of the time.
90% of the time. No, there's honest people. Not everyone's a lying sack of shit on Wall Street.
Sometimes
some people are honest.
Sometimes you just let the computers do it, and they just buy all the stock.
I mean, if anything, even in that movie, the good guys were the people who knew what was going on, and they're trying to sound the alarm. They're like, "You people are killing yourselves."
Like, this is going to end badly.
I mean, being on the other side of it, I've been through that. I was trying to get people to buy Bitcoin. I'm like, it's going to go crazy, guys. I'm not just Ponziing you. I'm not trying to sell you on something. This is a paradigm shift. So I've been on the other side of that. It's very frustrating when you're trying to explain to people, when you see something, a model in a market that no one else sees, and you're trying to help them, and they don't want to. And I'm not mad. Of course, that's ridiculous. Why would I be mad? But yeah, there are good people in markets. They're not all bad.
Sure, no, I'm just. I think that there are more wolves in Wall Street than there are humans, and I think that Wall Street, I think, attracts a certain type of people.
What, you don't think they're doing God's work? That was Lloyd Blankfein, by the way, that said that about banks taking people, ruining people.
Yeah. Don't get me started on banks either. So I don't think it's a problem. The problem of scripting is a problem of resources. That there is just like not enough resources to feed all the people.
Oh, automation, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Automation, yes. There are not enough resources to feed all the people. So, in a perfect world, I live in a town, right? Town of Oyster Bay.
Right.
In a perfect world, like a utopia world, that town would have food production. It would have technology production. It would have knowledge production. All in that town. And it would be self-sustaining. And the town next to it would also be. But in the world that we live in, it's not like that. Because you have in the world we live in, the town next to us has a technology production's maybe getting a little bigger, and our food production's maybe getting a little bigger, but our technology's not. And technology over here says, "Oh, I'm going to buy your technology, and we're going to have one combined technology." Now there's all these people now. Now we have to go work on the farm. Now there's too many people working on the farm.
Right. Yeah, there's a way. So what you're describing is a labor glut, and that's actually what I'm talking about. Where people are debating, shorter work week, UBI. The funny thing is, so if you want to laugh, the conservatives aren't acknowledging the labor glut, so they're losing the discussion about what to do about it. So de facto, the winner is UBI, and I'm not necessarily universal basic income.
Okay.
Where basically everybody gets a check, got a check.
No matter what they do.
We've created such a utopia. We have so much extra money, we don't even know what to do with it. Here's some money. That's essentially the idea of it. And of course the risk is with that it could become political and people could attach strings to it. You have to march in the parade every Tuesday or you don't get your check. And then all of a sudden, the parade becomes an important thing and
now you're waiting online for a half hour for toilet paper.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I took it all the way to an
There was a few steps in there, including involving stealing underwear, but
jumped a few.
You jumped a few, yes. But yeah, that's where the slippery slope ends.
Yeah.
So I think that the key here, I think you're right about the labor glut, for sure. You're basically describing the problem I was asking you about. I think there is a labor glut, and I think it's going to get worse. And we're fine because we're techies.
Yeah.
So we can get by in this. We may not be rich, but we'll at least be able to survive. But a lot of people are going to have absolutely zero skills to offer except for artisan type skills.
Which is important too.
Is important too, but there's going to be a labor glut there too. Not everybody's going to be able to. If there's no economy to speak of for necessary, some products need to be necessary.
Sure.
Because that's what entices people to come into the economy in the first place. And then there's extras and there's perks and stuff like that. So the downside of some of this is economy of scale. So as things get bigger, they're naturally going to become more efficient and things are going to become cheaper. But the downside of one thing we can do is we can go local. So this is how I think when people are unsure about what's happening, it makes sense to go local, and this is why I'm actually very big on states' rights as the purveyors of socialism, which sounds a little weird, but a lot of people are like, oh, we need government to fix it, and I'm like, I'd like to see the state try it. Let the state try it, and I'm even okay with siphoning a small amount of federal money into it. I think the key is that you have to treat things like that as experiments and see where they end. You can't just turn it on. You can't turn the faucet on and leave the building.
I think too. What I've seen in the political sphere, and I'm not a politician. I'm not really good at following. I used to follow.
You know me. I've been into this stuff forever.
I used to follow it a little bit better, and I just got disgusted with it and stopped following it. But
it's gross.
I know it's a mess. But I do see the state government starting to step up a little and saying, "Listen, this is my state."
Right.
And I got to do what's right for my state. So listen, federal government.
That's a good sign.
You got to back it up a little bit.
This is people figuring out what's going on. So this is the problem of when people are looking at globalism, and I'm looking at it like globalism versus localism. The problem with globalism is you have this massive economy of scale, and as you get into larger and larger companies and larger government organizations, they become less and less accountable.
Yeah.
It's an accountability problem when you scale up, and when you go local, it's easier to make people accountable.
Yes.
When you're looking someone in the face, it's harder to lie.
Yeah, why can't we have
Except on this show. You can lie all you want on this show.
Why can't we have an auditor go and audit the government, the federal government?
We do all the time, and then people lie about whether the auditor. They say the auditor was dishonest, and then other people say the people who said the auditor was dishonest are dishonest.
Oh man!
And
round and round we go.
It just goes around and around. So this is the problem with politics, and the more distant it is. I mean, how would you prove or disprove that? The real problem is what is truth. This is the problem that we're having.
It's such a good question.
What is I hate to be the up on like the guru on the mountaintop, or at least to point at him. I'm not saying that's me, but he is out there. There is a mountaintop with a guru on it somewhere, I'm sure.
I picture him having a goat.
A goat.
He's got a goat.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, goats are pretty versatile, and they climb mountains.
They climb mountains, exactly.
And he's a practical guy because he's a guru, right? So there you go.
Yeah, he's got to go. He's
definitely got to have a goat. So, but so there's something to this. Regardless of whether you like marijuana or you hate marijuana, there's something really interesting happening with all the states basically either decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana. This is an exercise in states' rights we haven't seen since the 1800s.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about it because I actually think that this is an opportunity to test out different systems. There's a bunch of different UBI experiments going on. I love that. Regardless of whether I like UBI or not, I love local experiments. That's the way to do it.
Right. See what works.
Right. Don't say we're going to do this for everybody on the damn planet and you're going to pay us.
Right.
Instead, say let's try this here.
Right.
And then if people don't get it when you do that, okay, let's try it here.
Something might work. Something might not work here, but it works here.
Let's try it here. Let's try it here. And the thing is, if it works, you don't need to do it on a grand scale.
Right.
You can actually just try it here everywhere.
Right.
And then it works anyway, and no one can stop it.
Yes.
Of course, if you're a power broker at the top saying,
that's not going to make me a lot of money.
Big money, right? You hate this.
Yes.
So this is why you don't hear it pitched on the news or in the big media. But this is the way to do it. And I think people are starting to figure this out. Also, I think part of what's happening, a lot of people are very confused about politics and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. People have figured out that they can lie to polls. I mean, it's really it's that simple.
Yeah.
I think our parents' generation just were always just honest when they answered polls, and I think people are just lying to polls, and that's a lot of the reason that don't look at the polls. Right? We're trying to answer the question, what is truth? Don't look at the polls, because even if the pollsters are completely honest and their methods are perfect, people are just lying to them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want to sway it one way or the other. Instead, go local and get the result. And if you can't trust the results from going local, convince someone else to go local. And keep doing that until you can trust the results.
All right.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
And then that way you don't
Think
have
it
to worry
comes back
about
to
whether
that-
it's socialism or capitalism or, right? It doesn't matter.
Comes back to that black and white again. No, I'm all the way on this side. No, I'm all the way on this side.
And the poor fuckers in the middle are getting shot to shit.
That's it.
Yep.
All right, if I take another timeout real quick.
No, I think we're done, actually.
Oh, all right.
I think it's time to call it a night.
All right.
Because I'm pretty tired. We're almost at 3 hours.
Ooh,
Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or?
not really. I mean, I'm good.
Right. Did you have fun? Was it a good time?
Definitely a good time.
We were very silly in the beginning. We got
a little serious
Got
at
a
the
little
end.
serious. You got to tell me about your
Talked about
programming
Voltron.
adventures. Thanks so much for coming to my show.
Anytime.
Everybody, Brad
Well,
Dillon.
I don't know about any time, but you're welcome.
Hey, and if you want to come on a panel, let me know.
All right.
We're gonna have a panel in a few weeks. So,
Ooh, neat.
See you guys next week. Good night.